Hello and good afternoon, Xbox Nation. Welcome to this week's new episode of the Xbox Factor podcast. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL. And folks, we have an absolutely astounding show with big opinions. Like I said, one of the things I found very interesting and I'm very privileged is that we have a private DM for this particular podcast, and all of its current and former members, for that matter, are still a part of it, where we talk on a daily basis. And like leading up to the show, there was such an unbelievable heavy conversation going on. And I knew that today was going to be a great day to talk games, to talk about Phil Spencer, to talk about the future of Xbox Game Studios. There's been a lot of really wild takes on Phil Spencer. Obviously, I've had my chance to give you guys my personal opinion on Phil's interview with, of course, XCast of Kind of Funny. They asked a lot of really, really hard questions, and Phil answered them. And like I said yesterday, Phil took the arrows, both front and back, and he's the leader of Xbox, and he has to do that. I thought he was candid. I thought he was honest. He was a very annoyed. You can certainly tell by his demeanor. I mean, he even said, in a polite way, that this is cranky Phil, because he's disappointed, folks. I don't think he wakes up every morning hoping that his first party games are going to be known as the 60 meta or the undelivered games or the undeveloped games. He doesn't want that. I think a lot of his conversation was taken way out of proportion. I'm very disappointed with a lot of the bad takes. And I'm not talking about a podcasting community, because everyone does their shows how they want to do them. And that's fine. Listen, you have a brand. You're going to sell it however you want to sell it. I do my things a lot different here. And I'm proud of what we put down here each and every week. But I have not had a real opportunity, based on the conversation that was happening today in the DM, to talk with Daniel McGee, Retri, and of course Infinite Umbra. I do want to get their points, but let's get into the introductions. Daniel McGee, how the heck are you, brother? How's that weather in Texas?
Well, it's real hot. It's not hot for us. It's hot for you.
It 106 in the shade is hot for you. I get it.
It's a nice summer day. 106. That's not much. It was only 88 yesterday. So I got to whip out the shorts for the first time. Got my calves out.
Okay,
big day.
Big day for calves. Excellent.
But we're getting into that there summertime. It's gonna be good. I'm really excited for it.
Yeah,
we're big announcements coming. Gonna get my calves out. People are gonna be like, "Wow, your calves are real pale." I'll be like, "Yeah, I haven't seen the sun about 8 months, baby."
Yeah, well, listen, those pale calves will eventually get some sun. They'll be nice and golden brown, I would imagine. This is where folks are rolling into the primetime year of shows and reveals. We had a lot of breaking news regarding PlayStation having their show the week of the May 25th, which they're going to go, if it happens on the 25th, like it was reported upon by good friend of this program, Jeff Grubb, then they're going to have, Microsoft is going to have about 2 weeks to respond. And I don't know if the show is done. I don't know if they have anything they're going to pull out and put back in, like they've done in the past. I hope we don't hear that. I'm going to be honest with you. I really, as an Xbox fan, hate when you hear that, like after the show, we had this, a particular game to show. But
I hate that too.
I don't like that, because I'm not an alarmist, folks. I have unbelievable faith in Phil and Aaron and everyone there at the team, Sarah and everyone. I think Xbox is one bad game so far, because this is a bad game. I mean, like I said, I'm playing it. I'm enjoying it, but that's me. And I'm enjoying it for other reasons. I don't think that the ship is falling or sinking. I think the issue at hand here is this now puts a lot of pressure on Starfield specifically, because I know Motorsport is going to be good. It is not going to release with bugs. This game has been in development for quite some time. We've seen what it looks like. It's going to be amazing. but I don't want to just say, oh yeah, it's just it's a Forza game to look forward to, because I don't really enjoy those types of Forza games. I'm going to play it. I don't know how much hour time I'm going to put into it. I'm looking forward to Starfield, and Starfield has to hit, but we're going to get into that in a second. Retri, I feel like we don't even talk enough anymore, brother. How the heck have you been?
I'm sorry, Boom.
I'm busy. Like I felt like we
Good,
podcast
brother.
once a week, but I feel like I never see you. How the hell are you, man?
I'm doing great, Boom. Just finished up Ravenlock, 1,000 out of
Nice.
1,000 on that one. Internet helped me out a little bit with that. I couldn't find all the bunnies, but yeah, that was a good time with that game. It's a palate cleanser game for me. Like, I've been doing a lot of the shoot 'em up games, so
Yes.
it's good to step away from that and breathe for a second. So that was a lot of fun. And of course, I'm playing the worst game on the planet, Redfall, as Steam has told us. Still enjoying myself. It's still pointing out all the funny bugs that are there. I will be doing a video, little montage of the bugs. Not to hate on the game, but sometimes bugs are fun. So there was some laughs during that. So, but yeah, I'm happy to be here. Boom. Thanks for having me, and excited to talk about Phil and all the other topics that we got to talk about today. So
yeah, thank you, brother. It's great to have you back. Great to have you part of the show. And last no way least, best voice in the business for sure. And obviously the show that that Umbra and Daniel have launched a couple of weeks ago, it's finding its audience, it's finding subs, and for good reason. It's a lot of fun listening to you guys argue or have difference of opinions back and forth, as you do, like brother.
Jedi.
It's very brother-like, very much similar to Kay Asante and Everborn Saga on the Gaming Circle podcast. But Humbra, how the heck are you, man?
I am good, brother. I'm happy to be here today with you fellas. I had been playing a few games myself. I had beat in what I call a near masterpiece in Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I will tell you, at first I was kind of like so on it, because of the bugs. But man, when I got to that second half, for some strange reason, I don't know if it was the patch they sent through or what, I started having all types of issues. The game closed on me 4 times.
Oh boy.
I started seeing screen tearing, all that type of stuff. I don't know what happened, but I'm going to say this again. Despite those bugs, this game is still spectacular. I'm going to put that out there. If you all are on the fence of getting it, please do. They just put out a patch today. Apparently it was 27 gigabytes. I thought on my screen it showed me 12.5, but then at the same time it re-downloaded the entire game. I don't know what that was about. So it was 137 some odd gigabyte download, but luckily I have super fast internet, so it got downloaded pretty quick. But spectacular game. And unlike Retri, I also did play and beat
I
saw that. I saw you posted on Twitter.
Yeah, I found all the bunnies, by the way, Retri.
I did too, but I had to use the internet because my eyes ain't what they used to be.
No shame in that. Some people are like, I'm not going to look it up. I'm looking it up. If I
looked it up.
Listen,
I looked it up.
I will look up a game, and I will like Retri admit it with open arms, because my gamer score matters to me, maybe not to you. So there you go.
I was missing 3 of them. I just could not find those little efforts.
Yeah. No, yeah, you do a little dance and get them. It's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, between those and then of course, like Red Free, the worst game in the world. I play some Redfall again today. I'm about to get to the second part of the second land or whatever.
The second map,
yeah, that's where I am too.
Yep, get into that. I feel like it would be false of me to just judge the game without fully beating it. So I want to beat it, and then I can give my full judgment. As it stands, I'm probably at a 5 or a 6. It is still enjoyable. Like I said, you play with friends, it still is enjoyable. I will admit, So for those who are playing and enjoying it, keep doing so. Don't let anybody deter you. But happy to chop it up with you guys today. Let's get it going.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the whole Redfall thing. The best analogy that I can come up with is not even my own. It's Everborn Sagas. He actually said something that was pretty interesting that I want to give him credit for saying. And he said to me when we were talking about Redfall, he's not going to allow anyone to chew his food for him. And quite simply meaning, the game is the game. Play it. If you like it, talk about it. If you don't like it, talk about it. Let Microsoft know, let Xbox know that you didn't like it for X, Y, and Z. The game needs a lot of help, sure. I was just telling the guys I just crossed 2 days in it, 2 full days. Listen, I'm quite enjoying it. I really am. Is it my game of the year? No, it's not gonna be my game of the year. But I found, even though with the bugs, that there's something here, and it does have good bones. So if Phil is going to keep his word, as he usually does, Arcane Studios is going to continue to support this. And who's to say that a year from now, this game does not look incredibly different? Very similar to Grounded, very similar, more specifically, to Sea of Thieves. And I know that this isn't a service game, but it still has bones that needs to be built on. And I think there is a franchise here. But listen, enough talk about Redfall. I want to talk to the guys here about what Phil had to say during his interview with Kind of Funny. Their XCast crew is awesome. I watch their stuff almost every week. And I thoroughly enjoy what I usually find from the three of them. And the interview with Phil, is, I mean, a lot of people were saying, "Oh, Phil came on to kind of take the arrows." Obviously, if you listen to the Gaming Circle podcast, Paris Lilly actually jumped on for quite a bit of the show on Saturday with Everborn and Keasante, which is pretty awesome. And he confirmed something that they didn't even confirm on Kind of Funny, and that was the interview was Phil had already been scheduled. Now, if you know anything about Microsoft PR, and thankfully I can say that I do, these things take months. When I had Larry Herb on the show back in, I think it was 2019, right after the Xbox showcase, I was able to hang out with Larry Herb for about, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes or so. It took months to get that interview. I had to be vetted. They had to check out the stuff. It was like a big to do. And obviously, Kind of Funny is well known, so I don't think they had to go through the same vetting process as Double Barrel Gaming with 12K. But they still, these interviews happen and are scheduled way in advance. And they could have canceled. Phil could have canceled because obviously there was a shitstorm. They're coming off of ABK being vetoed by the CMA. Minecraft didn't hit the way they were expecting it to hit. That's disappointing. And then of course the Redfall situation. So anyone else might have canceled because why get in front of the cameras if your company's having a meltdown, which it kind of was. And Phil did what Phil does, and he got out there and he talked about it. And like I said, I'm not going to reiterate my opinions because that's boring. But I haven't heard, and I don't think anyone here has heard what Retri, Infinite, and Daniel McGee have to say about it. And I want to take the time to have that conversation because at the end of the day, I did pose this question as one of the topics, and that's, can Xbox make great games with their current studios? The answer for me is yes. Now, the answer for some may be no, but I want to start first with Umbra on this. Umbra, there were a lot of things that people took away from Phil's particular interview, one of which was they're not trying to out console PlayStation or Nintendo. And that basically, there were a lot of sites, a lot of publications that ran with Xboxes giving up. They're not going to make AAA games. They're going to make mid games. Game Pass is exactly what we thought it was. It's it's double A's only. We're never going to get quality games. Now, anyone that runs with that narrative is A, dumb, sorry, and B, full of shit, sorry, because that is not in fact the case. There's if we're talking meta specifically in this generation, Infinite, Microsoft is scoring pretty well in a lot of their games, their first party games. But their first party games have not reached the level of the Horizons, right? Of the God of Wars, of the Last of Us. People want those games. We think we're getting one this year in Hellblade, and we're going to talk about that later on in the show because I believe Phil let the cat out of the bag. And I said that the other day, and we're getting more and more. I mean, even Jez Corden says that he thinks Hellblade is at the end of the year. But what were your actual takeaways from Phil's interview, Umbra?
So much, actually. It's like, I feel like, because even when I jumped on a show with Retri and Dave over the weekend, it just felt like we only scratched the surface, didn't it, Retri?
Oh, absolutely. But
Yeah, it's
I
like
could have gone another 2 hours easily.
exactly. And I know you guys had to go, and I had to go too. But I wanted to talk about so much more. And it's like, even right now, I'm trying to format how I want to approach that on this week's podcast for me and Danny. But I know we covered it, but we didn't fully dive into it. It is a lot that I took away from it. I guess the biggest factors would be Phil's demeanor and his tone. I suppose that's the biggest factors because none of us have seen Phil in that quite that way before. So it was
seemed
kind of
distressed for sure.
He did. He absolutely did. And I, you know, on top of actually being happy, not happy, but being, I guess, approving of him taking it on the chin and saying, "Hey, I'll take the fault for this," because that's what a good leader should do, right?
Yeah.
Aside from that, it was how candid he was. He was very straightforward. He wasn't trying to dance around or sugarcoat anything. Even when Paris and them, you know, and the guys tried to kind of throw him a little, you know, I guess a nicer softball on how they were asking it. He's like, no, we failed here. You know, when the 12-month thing popped up, he was like, no, we failed to meet that, so on and so forth. Like I said, it's so much to take from it. But those I think are the biggest things. And like I said, even being candid on the situation with Redfall and saying, yeah, this was not, it didn't meet the standards of what their creative goals of what they were setting out to do. And the thing is like, if you're being honest, if all of us are being honest, like I said on the Sunday's podcast, this situation right here was not necessarily, at least not fully, on Phil and team, right? And Phil shouldn't even be the one out here doing all this. That's, if we're being real, this is not specifically.
It should be Pete Hines.
It should be Pete
questions.
Hines.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm sorry. Absolutely, it is.
It's Pete.
Yeah.
And
100%.
you know, but now we know we have to give the blame to Microsoft because the good or the bad. Now they do own the company, so we know that, right? Like, we're going to give them the W, for instance, with Hi-Fi Rush. Unfortunately, we have to give them the L here for Redfall
100%.
on how it was.
Yeah,
that's how it works. But I mean, but just as far as looking into it context wise, we know this game was already in production far before Microsoft got them, and we also know that you know, it wasn't Matt Booty, it wasn't under his jurisdiction as far as that thing go. Now, what I will say is that needs to be mapped out, because it is, as far as we are concerned, it's not a super big thing for us to be like, who did this, so we can talk to them like we're going to talk to their manager or something. But it's a matter of, it seems like they're not fully ingratiated into Microsoft proper. I know a bit of that was them to have their own kind of anonymity and things of the nature, but it seems like it needs to be a case where there is better housekeeping, if you will. And, you know, it has to be, as we spoke before, talking about quality control, there has to be and some oversight. That's the biggest thing I took from all of this. And I'm pretty sure that's why I said it was a silver lining, a bit of a silver lining to me. Now, however Redfall came out, the fact that Phil was as upset as he was, and how he was bothered so much that he had to come out and do that, and how it disrupted the flow of what they had going already leading into this June's showcase. I think he's taking that much more serious. Like, we'll typically hear the "oh, we hear you" line and things of that nature, but this time I think this fully resonated with him, and it's going to be some movement going on behind the scenes to say, we won't allow this to happen again, and that's a good thing. So that, to me, that's a positive, I think, for all of us, in that knowing that they're going to be really, really on it. And that's some of the things we've all talked about as far as it goes, where it felt like Microsoft was sometimes too hands off. We said it with the Halo situation, for instance. So I think this kind of will shift things a bit to have them focus properly and check up on things and say, hey, this is not looking that great. What can we do to help you get this right? You know what I mean? Same thing they're doing with Starfield. So I think, and he did explain that they put more focus in that, which they should. It's going to be a generationally great game.
But on that umbrella, isn't it weird though that we say on one hand that under the Bethesda house that Starfield got the treatment that all games should get, but Redfall didn't under the same house. And then in the same breath, we say, well, Bethesda's independent, right? Well, clearly not, because that's not how they treated Starfield.
That's true.
Obviously, it was like Starfield was the baby, but we're talking about the same house here. We're talking about Bethesda.
Redfall was the redheaded stepchild.
Was a redheaded stepchild, where Phil was kind of like, we trusted them. Oops, like we let them do their own thing.
Yeah,
we won't, slap on the hand. Let's not make that mistake again.
Yeah, ultimately, this falls on Harvey Smith.
Yeah,
the producer of the game.
Harvey,
I agree.
Yeah. I mean, I think this falls on a lot of people. Like, right?
Does.
Like, we can't. You're talking. Pete Hines definitely takes this on the chin. Aaron Losey even takes this on the chin. Who's marketing and communications for them. So Harvey Smith, game director, of course. Like, but this is a failure at multiple points. On you're not even talking the last 6 months. You're talking years, because Xbox didn't step in and help them years ago when they probably should have. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, there were a couple things. So we talked about this on the Fix last Thursday. Plug. A little bit with Deli, who's a former Microsoft
and
game
Ubisoft
dev. I don't actually know
developer.
which studio specifically he worked for. It didn't come up in conversation, but he used to work with them. And he was saying that the communication between the individual studios and like the higher ups was, that's the sort of situation where unfortunately you can't really fix that until it's too late, right? Like the way he was talking about it was like, if you go and talk to, like, if you're a manager at a Denny's or something, right? Or like, not, I mean, I guess like a regional manager, and you go and you talk to the manager at the, the Westlake Denny's, and you're like, hey, is everything good here? And they tell you yes. And then you have to go and look at all the other Denny's and come back, and then it's on fire. Then it's like, that's not like that. Like you have to put the fire out at that point. You can't stop the fire from happening, right? So the conversation sort of did come down to like, yes, it does obviously go up the chain all the way. And like, they're all going to feel that hurt because, everything is their responsibility to some degree. But the biggest fault of it definitely does come down to the actual studio, because if they're the ones saying, hey, everything's fine, like we're going to hit this date, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and then you don't,
because they're reporting up,
failing to hit your goals, which is also something that Phil Spencer sort of said, and he was taking the blame onto himself. But he also mentioned like, they were missing some of their internal goals, and at a certain point, even if we delayed it, it wouldn't have made it like a good game. Like he was saying some stuff that sort of was along those lines, and I feel for him. I don't know that there was a right choice to make at this point with Redfall. We've talked about how, it's not just the bugs about this game that are bad. Like you could fix all these bugs and put it out, and it would be maybe a little bit better, but is it worth paying all that time to get it fixed instead of having the studio move on to something new? You know what I mean?
And that's the thing, though, Danny, because he spoke on that.
That's
he spoke on that, and it seems like they're going to actually do that now. It seems like they're, he spoke about it kind of doing a Sea of Thieves thing with it, right?
Yeah, but the team that's going to
he made mention of it. He did. He actually compared it. He says, we're going to treat this game, meaning Redfall, like Sea of Thieves and Grounded. That to me is,
I think in regards for support, not like a gas. I don't see it becoming a gas game. I just do not see it.
No. I'm just. I don't want it to be a gas game. I'm
well,
saying
that's been a discussion in the community. I just want to kind of say that because that was brought up by Kay Asante on our podcast too, and I was like, oof, that's a great question. I don't personally think so, but I think it's more about support long term.
Yeah, I think what they'll probably do is they'll get it to a good state and they'll put out whatever content that they've already promised. I don't know if they did like a season pass or whatever, but I know they were talking about like, we're going to add however many characters, and like they said stuff like that.
The bite back edition. That's
so I think they're gonna meet all of the requirements of what they promised, get the game to a state where it runs better, and then I think they're just gonna move on because
I agree.
I don't think that they're gonna like put a whole new patch in to completely fix the AI entirely or like make those boss fights feel better. Like that's so much work.
Something I will say, I took from it, and you're right. Both of you are right. It's too much money and it's too much work. One thing I will say that I took away from this too is, had this been anybody, like say that they had been independent still, I don't think ZeniMax would have given them the leeway Microsoft is going to give them. You know what I mean? that's to be seen still.
No, they might have closed the studio for something like that.
I believe so. I think it would probably been folded into.
And he actually
something
said
else.
that we trust Arcane. We believe in Arcane, which is a confirmation or a proclamation, whatever you want to use as your term, that the studio is not going to get, because this what Umber's referring to, and I believe what you're saying is correct. And we've seen this many times. A studio will make a game. They'll be tasked to put out a game. They have a good reputation. The game comes out, it's a flop, and that studio is dissolved, but then folded into another bigger studio.
Yep.
And that's not going to happen. Arcane Austin is a very talented studio. This might have been a game. We heard like Rand Althor and first of all, shout out to Rand and Jez, who put on a near 5-hour podcast, for their last show. I just finished listening to it today. It was phenomenal as always. And they kind of alluded. Now, I don't know if they got this on the back end of a conversation from someone or it's their opinion, but Rand had said it several times that he feels like this is not a game that this studio wanted to make. And they were kind of forced to make this game, and that's what it just is what it is. I don't know if that's true. I don't know. Again, I'm only going based on what Rand had to say, but it's interesting.
Do you think it was somewhat of a passion project thing, something of that nature? You think? And they were like, okay, we'll let you go ahead and do it.
Yeah, because I listened to that podcast too, and my take was not that they were forced to make it. When he was saying that this isn't the game that they wanted to make, I think that he was saying like they wanted this game to be different.
They didn't hit their vision for it. You're saying,
like they just didn't achieve what they were trying to do. I don't think anyone was like, "You got to do the Redfall. You got to do it right now." Game or
no, I mean they made mention of chasing trends, and obviously looter shooters like Destiny are a thing. They're still a thing, even though Destiny's not doing so well right now, and they are raising the prices, which not such a good time to raise prices, but it is what it is. I mean, Umber, I think that you had a lot of great points. Like I said, this is. I think ultimately, what happens in June is going to set a tone for Xbox, not only for the remainder of the year, but moving forward. I think we are guys and gals. We are in a position where most of us have been saying, wait till next E3. Most of us are saying, wait till this game comes out because it's going to change the tone. That has to start now. Like I said, Redfall, I'm having a blast with it, but for a lot of people, it's a disappointment, and rightfully so. People walked away expecting Arcane to deliver, which they normally do. They didn't deliver this time. Okay, so you know what? It's as Randolph said, it's a bump in the road. I don't think that it dictates what Xbox is going to do as a brand. Now, and again, there are, listen. First of all, I do want to address a question in here. It's by Golden Prodigy 115. Now, I mean, listen, if this is how you think, brother, it's you're welcome here, and no one's going to dog you for having this opinion. He asks, why are we supporting Phil's loser mentality? And I got to be honest with you. I think that's a bit of a stretch. You know what I'm saying? Like, what mentality is he giving up? Are we getting only AA games moving forward? I mean, I'm a little lost. They're not trying to sell boxes anymore. See, and that's the thing that is different. People seem to think that all companies or all platforms, or the big three specifically, are doing things that should do things the same way as they were done in the 80s, 90s, and the 2000s. Sell your box, sell a game. You play a game on your box, and then you buy our next a game to play on this box. That's not the way it works anymore.
I think that's part of the problem right there, Boom. I think a lot of people are kind of stuck in a traditional thought process.
They are absolutely stuck in their old ways.
And it doesn't help that Sony is the market leader. So they kind of dictate that thought process.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
You see, that's part of the issue. He also asked, why did Phil say Xbox won't make quality games? So I think you've had a lot of misinformation going on with you, brother.
Yeah, he didn't really say that.
He said, "Don't ban." He said, "Don't ban me." What the hell?
No. I know what he's getting at. I've seen that a lot on the Twitters or whatever. Like, a lot of people took this quote from Phil: "There is no world where Starfield is an 11 out of 10 and people start selling their PS5s." That's not going to happen, he says. And people took that in a very different way than I did. So there was like kind of a 50-50 camp. I took that as what they've been saying since 2018, that they're moving on to from console sales to an ecosystem type of engagement. That's how they're measuring their success. Because we all know that when a game hits into Game Pass, of course it's going to hurt sales because so many of us don't have to pay $70 for it. So I took that as him moving on to cloud, then moving into mobile, then moving into PC, then moving into the whole games are going everywhere thing. And he's, unfortunately, maybe Phil shouldn't have said that. I don't agree with him actually saying it, but that doesn't make it not false. That doesn't make it not true, because I kind of agree with him to a point where Starfield can, move the needle on the ecosystem for Xbox, but that doesn't necessarily mean that everyone's going to sell their PlayStations. I think there will be people who will just then buy an Xbox because, I mean, maybe he should have followed up by saying that you might not sell your PS5 to get an Xbox to move on to a different platform altogether. But you might buy an Xbox as another console because these great games are coming to the platform, and I think that would happen. I mean, that's why I have a PlayStation.
And that's part of. I think that's part of why a lot of people had so much issue with what he said, and how so many people were too reactionary that they thought, "Oh, he's saying they're not going to make great games." Well, no, he's just basic. I mean, for that part, I get that. I think because of his raw emotion, he kind of. Where he would typically word things a bit better. I think he worded some things that led people to make their own conclusions, right? And
for sure,
you're right. I think obviously the goal would be to make great games. I don't think. I mean, I don't think I know.
He probably, you're right. He probably should have actually, Umbra. Not to cut you off. I'm sorry. What Phil should have said is just because this is a bad game. Don't think that it's going to dictate what we are going to be releasing, because we have X, Y, and Z that we are going to show you. He didn't specifically have to say, but he goes, he could have worded it wrong, and I think you're right, Umbra. I think you really knocked it on the head. Where this was an emotional Phil. This was a guy that kind of shot from the hip, and unfortunately, instead of closing down the critics, he opened the floodgates for people to question what Xbox's ideology is of a good game or a AAA. Because again, listen, I know that we have almost 500 people here, and most are Xbox fans. Some people are tired of comparing one platform to the other, but as long as Sony keeps making the God of Wars and keeps making the Horizons and these highly meta, again, not for you, I get it. I hear what you're saying, but you're gonna get the comparisons. You're gonna, and I said this privately to a couple of friends of mine. Until Microsoft, or specifically Xbox and Team Phil Spencer, start releasing consistency. That I've been saying that for it can't be 2 good games, 3 bad games, 2 good games, 1 bad game. It's cadence. Cadence is the key here, folks. And when they start this cadence, word for that. I mean, when they start a cadence of good games, and listen, they're not all going to be first party. I think we really, a lot of folks and a lot of media discount the smaller games being a part of Xbox Game Pass, being an important part of the conversation. Jump in.
I was going to say, I think it's a gift and a curse, right? Because
it is.
Because of, if you, for instance, we look at last year, you see As Dusk Falls, you see Pentiment, which I enjoyed both. I honestly did not think I was going to enjoy As Dusk Falls, but I actually really, really did. Pentiment, I said I'm going to give this a chance to Sawyer. I know he knows what he's doing. It turned out I enjoyed it. Right now, it's not something that's going to move things, though. That's the thing. That's why this
appeal.
Exactly, and that's why this hits so hard
kind of
when
agree
we got
with
the first AAA game from them, which was Redfall.
Yeah.
Now Redfall, I've said it and I'll say it again. Redfall is a AA masquerading as a AAA game.
Yeah, I don't think it was a true AAA game.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's because of the budget behind it, though, as we found out talking with Danny, where he pointed out the marketing also adds to the budget. So
100%. They have a deal with Arby's. They have a clothing line. They have, I mean, they spent some serious bucks on advertising on, bro.
And that's the problem right there, right? So it's so many ways that they could have better handled Redfall. That's why I put some of the blame, a good amount of the blame rather, on Phil and team, or at least those under him, because had they introduced Redfall not as the and one more thing as they did in the showcase and properly marketed it as a AA game, nobody would have put so much on it as they did here. Also, the fact that this was the first AAA, quote unquote game that we got. When we didn't get it, we went a full year without it. It just compounded that issue and made it look like it was worse than what it is. We're actually doing pretty solid over here. You know what I mean? But it's just that fact of that alone. And it made people question things now. And it's like you said, Boom, it's the cadence. We have to have that proper cadence of releases where it's hit after hit. You know what I mean? At least in a more continuous line, at least for first party. And that's what we got to get to.
Well, and Phil said as much, right? Because I think one of the things that is really annoying about that one section being taken out of content, where he was like, Starfield, even if it's an 11 out of 10, it's not going to, change things overnight, which is 100% true. Right. He, first of all, that one section, that like 10 seconds has been taken completely out of context, because he's in the rest of the like 40 minutes he was talking, the number one thing he said over and over again was, we need to do the games. We need to do the games better. Like, he was saying that the entire time. So the one section where he was like, even if Starfield is great, it's not going to fix all of our problems, which is true.
Which is true.
Exactly like everyone here's been saying, it's not going to be one game. You need to just continue to get these things going. And he went on immediately after that to talk about how he could see forward to the point where in the near future, he's going to have that bit where you're getting one game out every quarter, like they've been talking about wanting to do. And he's been saying that, like, he's saying that's in the very near future. And I think looking at the things that they have announced, I think we can really see that that's already pretty much here. I actually
here
think
now. I don't know why people like that.
I think Hi-Fi
literally
Rush
look at
Redfall
this year
were the start of that, and then just Redfall happened to suck ass, which is a bummer. It really sucks. But like, I think that was the start of getting one game out every quarter. And so, we're going to hit maybe Forza in Q3 and then Starfield in Q4 or whatever, like things like that. And then I think that we're just going to continue to go sort of on that path for the foreseeable future. And not every game that hits a quarter is going to be a huge AAA game, and not everything's going to be for everybody. And he said that too. I think Phil did a great job in this interview of really expressing, like, yes, he's upset, yes, he's sad, as he should be, and he was taking a lot of blame and explaining everything that was happening, but he also did a really good job of explaining, like, why he understands that this can't happen again. Like, he's talking about how they've been taking all these steps to get things right, and this is a big step back, but like, they have all these studios that are going, you know what I mean? This plan has already been set up, and I think Redfall was a step back from them, and I think that they're not, they're clearly not happy. They think it's clearly they're not happy with it, but I think that they just had to, get it out of the way. You know what I mean? I think it was just ripping the Band-Aid off. I think they were at a point where they were just like, this game is never going to be good. We just need to get it out of the way now.
So let me ask you all then. Would it have been better to cancel the game and not release it, or release it as they did?
I think it's a lose-lose.
Because I'll say this, and I know it's going to sting, and I know people are going to be like, you pony bot. I don't think Sony would have released this game.
They said that on the Xbox 2 podcast. Jez Corden specifically said if this was Sony, they would have canceled the game.
I think I have to agree with that sentiment.
Yeah,
I really do.
I mean, PlayStation probably would have canceled it. But at the same time, I think that it's just the situation where, like, for Xbox, it was a loss either way, right? You cancel the game, you make no money back, and everyone gets mad at you for canceling this game that they still think was
you're screwed
no
matter what,
right? You put out a game that's broken, everyone says, "Oh, this game's really bad," but at least you make some money, I guess, right?
It's
Like
a
you get to sell those
lose-lose.
controllers. Also, the
Yeah.
other part that we have to take into account is probably all that marketing had already started. So like
True.
all
Yeah.
their tie-ins with
Yep.
brands and stuff.
100%.
So
Unless,
it's
of
like
course,
if
they
you
would have
then
canceled it
don't
behind the
put,
scenes before we even heard of it. Of course.
yeah, like if you don't put Redfall out, then you've still got all these things where it's like, here's the Redfall branded, I don't know, Coke Zero or whatever it was, because I'm sure there was some stuff like that, right?
I mean,
Or
they have a deal with Arby's. They have a
Right.
deal. They have
So-
a deal. You know, with the clothing line. There's a clothing line for Redfall. The game was marketed as a AAA game. It was underbaked, man. That's the bottom line. Like I said, even if you're like me and you're having fun, we can't argue that the game was underbaked. Arcane
yeah.
is, you know, and that's the thing with Arcane, which is crazy. Like their games normally, guys and gals, are incredibly critically received, super well. But you know what they don't do? They don't
Sell.
make money. They don't
sell.
sell, which is
That's-
crazy.
Undisputed fact, unfortunately.
Yeah, even
But
like
to the-
Dishonored 1 and 2 that were huge
Yeah.
critical successes, like
Unfortunately.
critical darlings.
Critically great.
did
Yeah.
not
I
make
mean, look
their
at
money.
Deathloop. I mean, I hate that game, but hey, I mean, it was
I'm
up
not
for
a fan
game
of
of the
it either.
year.
I
It
don't
was up
like
for the
it.
game
Yeah.
of the year.
Terrible.
I'm not even gonna
Not for me.
front. Like it's just not for here. I
Me either.
am loving the game. Well, not loving. Here I am playing and liking the game that is like at a 60, and the one that was game of the year contender hated it. But on the
yeah.
on the
It's
side
same
of
for me. I hate
Yeah,
to say it
it's
that way,
right.
but I
It's
actually
weird.
enjoy Redfall. I had no
Yes.
issue with Deathloop.
on the cadence for Xbox though, and saying like even Phil saying we got to hit that 1 quarter. They're already doing it.
Well, he
We-
said
we
it's
have
coming. He said
8,
he actually he's
but it's
can you break that
already
down, Retri?
happening.
Yeah,
We
can you
already
do
have
some-
hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're already on the 5th. Redfall was the 5th, guys, of this year.
This year.
5th.
I mean, if you include
So,
the
I'm
ones
counting
that had
Ghostwire.
released
I
on
am
devices first,
I am
like-
counting some of the give me's, right? So like so you're talking Redfall, Minecraft, Ghostwire, Hi-Fi Rush, which we could say is AA all year. It was a 5-year game. It took them 5 years to make that, and Age of Empires 2. Maybe Age is probably the give me, I would say. But
Yeah, I think
still,
Age-
that's 5
Age and
already.
Ghostwire had already been released other places, so like you can make an argument that like, oh, those ones don't
You
count. But
definitely-
even so,
you're
like, we're up
right.
to 3, and we're on what month?
E-
5 of
Exactly.
the year.
Exactly.
Just to
Yeah, maybe not all those
clarify,
games
because I
are
see a
for
lot of
you.
people like Deathloop was bad. No, Deathloop is a solid, well-made game. It's just not to my liking.
It's
And
just
the
not for
retro-
me.
Right, no. I should
not for me.
I should
Right.
clarify. I didn't like it.
I didn't like it,
A lot
yeah.
of people did.
I didn't either. I know Rand was
It
like,
just
"Oh,
was
I love
not
it."
for
I'm
me.
just like, "Nah." I played. I was like, "Nah."
I
this-
played 5 hours on the
Yeah.
PlayStation 5, and I played 5 hours on the Xbox Series X version, and I walked away feeling even more dejected from the second time around. I'm like, how is this game of the year? Like, I don't understand. What am
Yeah,
I missing
I was
something?
scratching my
Am
head
I
on that
blue?
too.
I was
Maybe-
like, I was talking to Dirt Griggity about it, and he was like, "Yeah." Plus, they put you in that kind of that '70s character, black exploitation. He said, "Who am you, sucker?"
I kind
Oh my God,
I kind of
that's
like
so
the whole
dirty.
set.
You
That's
gotta
one of
love
the
that
only
guy.
things I liked about the game was kind of like the
Man,
'70s feel.
You
I don't
come
know. I thought
straight
it was
out of
kind
a
of cool.
comic book, Jack.
Yeah, he was
That's wicked funny.
he was,
Oh
he was
my
1
God,
second
that is
away from
funny.
talking
That
about
is
somebody
funny.
I uphill. I swear to God.
Yeah.
I mean, look, Retri, I mean, again, let's just keep the conversation going because I think we're having fun with it. I think we have 550 people here, a lot of PlayStation fans, which is awesome. And I want this to be understood.
Yeah.
You can have an opinion that differs. You're not getting banned for that. Lethal Papa is the one that does the banning. And listen, I'm going to be honest with you. He is as fair as they come. He really, really is. He mods for so many of my shows, not only just my show, but he
Everybody's.
mods for pretty much everybody.
He's everywhere.
And he's incredibly fair. You only get the ban, start the bullying. Anything sexual, you ban. Anything racial, I don't stand for it. Like I said, I have come from interracial family. I won't stand for it. I will not stand for it at all. I will ban you every which way but loose, and then I'll come back to get you for loose. Sexism, anything that's religious, governmental crap. We're a video game show, and we're here to talk about games. The only way you get banned is if you start bullying or you do any of the things I just announced. Don't do those things. Talk about games. Tell me that Xbox sucks. That's fine. You're allowed to have that opinion. But the minute you take it to a level where it's now in the console war thing, where I've had people like do 6 posts in a row, Xbox sucks, you're out, you're banned. That's it, because you're not trying to have a conversation. You're just being an a-hole, and we don't stand for that kind of shenanigans. But I want to reel this back in. Retri, you talked just moments ago about the 1 1/4, and Phil specifically during this interview actually said, from what he has seen and he knows, he said it, we have gotten to the 1 1/4, one good game or one AAA game a quarter. He did follow that though with, hey, we're not releasing a game that you want to play every quarter. And I think people ran with that because they're like, oh, you see, they're not gonna listen.
That's fine, and people aren't wrong for feeling that way. I mean, look at how many people just said they love Deathloop, and we're sitting over here going, bleh. But that's the thing, right? And when I say I like Redfall, everyone's like, that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, look, at the end of the day, not every game is for every gamer. There are going to be games now, and again, this is where a lot of the complaints for people who are anti-Sony will come out and say, well, Boom, all of their games are the same. They're over the shoulder. They're stylized. They're the same looking game. You can put 6 of their games together and do a screenshot for each one of them, and it's just a character has been plucked out and put into that world. Now, I like that because I like those types of games, but not everyone likes that. The difference with the way Sony is selling you games is they are selling you a game to play on their box. What Microsoft is doing is trying to appeal, because it's a different mindset, Retri. They're trying to sell you a service that gives you, like, for instance, if I tell you what Mrs. Boom and I watch on Netflix, you'd be like, why would you even watch that? Every night for the last, I don't know, couple of years, we are into K-dramas. There are usually 16 or 17 or 20 episodes, and we watch them, and we watch them so much that we actually know the actors and actresses by name now. That's what we watch. I don't watch every Netflix-produced film because some of their films are just not that good to me. Other people will be like, well, that's what you watch is dumb, Boom. I don't like subtitles. Okay. But see, that's the difference, the way Microsoft is doing and handling Xbox moving forward. What are your takes on this?
Well, first of all, I think one of the biggest problems, I think, for a lot of people, even this year, right? All the games, even though there's 8 first-party games coming out this year, 8, unheard of. A lot of those games are not for everybody, and I think the biggest problem is the mass appeal games. Your Elden Rings, your Hogwarts, the ones that really move the needle.
Zeitgeist
titles. I think Zeitgeist titles, right? And I think for Xbox, I think Starfield can possibly be that title. But I think that's what people want. They want that nobody can deny this is great. Nobody can deny this is great type of game. You know what I mean? But at the same time, one of the things that I really enjoyed about what Phil was saying was, I'm not going to apologize for letting these studios do crazy, wacky stuff, essentially, is what he's getting at. Doing something that they want to do, because one of the biggest complaints about PlayStation is everything's the same, which I don't necessarily agree with.
Me either. But I see the point of
until
view,
they started shutting down the studios that did something different.
Well,
you're not wrong. You're not wrong for that.
There's a level of diversity that PlayStation lacks compared to the PS3 era, I would say. But I would say this too. But I would say this too. It's something Phil didn't say, and I mean, it's 2 things I took from that. He says that, but then I think, okay, but what about the Coalition who was working on the game that got canceled?
2 of them, actually.
What exactly? What happened to
canceled that? Though, you know what I'm saying?
It was canceled. It was put aside. Yeah, they canceled it. And I know. So my thing is, why? Why would you not let them finish that? Because I would love to see the Coalition do something outside of Gears. I mean, and get back to Gears 6 for me. And it's a second thing. I'm sorry. I just want to add too. No, you hit it right on the head, Retri, and it's something that we've talked about here, if you all remember, where we talked about how those games, that zeitgeist game. This
Yes.
is why we were talking about them getting superheroes, for instance. This is why
Bingo.
we argued for them getting WB games and getting that WB.
Bingo. Something
DC
that's
license.
undeniable.
Exactly.
Well, we know that they have a
Undeniable.
partnership with Disney now, right?
Get-
That was one of those
Well,
rumors
hey,
too.
get
that
you some Star
outside of-
Wars stuff going on. Get you some.
Yeah.
Get some Indiana Jones like they got going. Get, if that's going to be exclusive, we don't know yet. Get you one of these superheroes. Get Batman. That something like that with a proper team behind it, making it first party, that would move things for you.
Yeah,
I think that would help move the
Yeah.
needle. You know what I mean? Because these games, like you said, we know that as far hardcore gamers, that Starfield is going to be a generational game. It's going to help move the needle for us. But what about those casuals? They don't know Starfield like that.
Right. That's
they
what
know Spider-Man
right.
though.
Because it's not an entity. It's not a name. It's a brand new IP that's no one's ever heard of. But
Exactly.
everyone knows the Hulk. Everyone, everyone knows the superhero names. You don't even have to play video games to know. When we say zeitgeist, we mean the average Joe who doesn't even play video games at all will know who that person is. That's zeitgeist, right? I love all the games that I don't want Xbox to really be different, but I think they kind of need a little bit of both. I like that they do all these different weird games, and so Xbox is the weird console for me, which is great because I like these different experiences. But we also, I think, need, like Daniel was pointing out, that they're partnering with Star Wars. That's obviously zeitgeist. Like that's what we need. I think a little bit more of that. Sony is just infinitely better at Xbox in doing third-party deals, and I know this annoys people. I really think Xbox needs to start doing more of that stuff. I just do.
It moves the needle. Era, brother. That's what they need to do.
Yeah.
Specifically, I'm sure we're not going to talk about it today because I'm actually writing it for either tomorrow evening or for Friday's show, because I'm sitting down with a very special guest for Thursday. I have not made the announcement. It's an esports player. His PR team reached out to me. He's been a part of some really big teams, and we're not going to so much talk esports because I don't know anything about esports, but he's a gamer at his core. So we're going to talk about just whatever the hot Xbox topic of it is, and we'll get a little bit of history. I'm sitting down with him one-on-one on Thursday's X Vlog Live, but there is.
You're not going to tell us who it is. Tease. I'm just kidding, Boom. You don't have to.
No, Ninja. It's going to be Ninja, everybody.
I wish it was. No, I trust me. If it was, I would have advertised it 3 weeks ago. But then he would. Again, it's. I get you this information, but again, I agree with you. I think you are onto something where, a perfect example of zeitgeist, right, folks, that we're talking about is how, to this day, folks, there are gamers. Now, remember, casuals, the normies, they don't really know the minutia. They don't know the in-between lines. Marketing, which PlayStation does to the point of pure excellence. And you may not like the brand, and you don't like. I don't like a lot of the things that they do. Specifically, we just heard that they have officially, and again, it has been officially announced, but they're having their show. They've locked down Castlevania, Silent Hill, and Metal Gear Solid 3 for a timed exclusive. And you know what that means to me? Ugats, because Final Fantasy VII was a timed exclusive, and that doesn't mean anything. Listen, they need to do some heavy marketing with some well-known characters, and if they need to make a deal with Disney. And I think I'm going to add a topic. I'm gonna do this live on the air, folks. After we get Retri's opinion, and then of course we got to get Daniel's about the interview. I saw PTK Blam, who's a good friend of the community. I love PTK and what he does over there. He did a poll the other day. Pick a first-party studio and pick a Marvel IP that you would like to see that studio make. And we're going to do that live on the air. We're going to segue into that after this. But Retri, please continue.
Yeah, I've been talking about this Phil interview for a while. I understand. Like, I know a lot of people are like, well, Phil has to take it on the chin. I don't disagree with that. I agree what he did. He came out, and Redfall is it's weird, right? It's a catch-22. I know Phil isn't really at fault, but I also know Phil had to say it's my fault. Both of those things can be true, right? This is definitely like a PR type of thing. Phil had to come out here and say, I'm sorry. One thing I did want to say on that was when he mentioned the way they showed Redfall and being PC and kind of being a little misleading. It's 60 frames per second on PC, and he kind of alluded to that they're not going to do that stuff going forward, which is very hard for me to kind of believe. But does that mean that every time they're going to show this stuff in the future, we're going to see them talking about the PC version, and then they're going to whip out the Series X version and go, see, sorry, it's not 60 frames. It's running great on the Series X, but this is the frame rate you're going to get on the Series X. Oh, here we go. Let's whip out the Series S now. Here's how it's going to run on the Series S. Because they always show stuff on PC, and I'm wondering if going forward, if they're going to show us all 3 SKUs essentially, you know what I mean? Like, is that something that they're going to do in the future? I don't know, but he alluded, he apologized for it and said they're going to try to work on something like that. So I'm curious to see if they're going to do that going forward. On a positive side, what I liked was him talking about the future and the cadence and hitting those, one game a quarter thing, which now that I look back on it, I'm like, kind of already doing it, but all right, I get you. And looking forward to the future with the Forza and Hellblade and Avowed, and all those great games that are coming out probably soon. And we'll obviously talk about Hellblade 2 coming up, and where we think it's going to land. But I have faith in most of the team. I think there's some people. I don't know how much hands-on Pete Hines had with this. I'm kind of questioning like what's going on with that. Why? Like, how did you see this and let a game out like that? It's
exactly.
It's really. There's so many bugs. There's so many bugs that you play it for an hour and you're seeing a bunch of them. So there's no way they didn't know. That's the problem I have with it. And it's just apologizing after a fact. I think I kind of agree with Daniel. I think it was just like, whew, this is bad. Let's get it over with, rip the Band-Aid off and send it out. I think that's exactly what happened. But I'm just glad that Phil is sticking to his guns, at least on drawing the line on, we're going to stay weird. We want these studios to do whatever they want to do for their ideas and their concepts, but we need to step in there way earlier during production and step in and go, what are you guys doing? Like, what's going on? And just have more oversight. And I think everyone's been saying that for a long time with management when it comes to their studios. Like, maybe we need to be less hands-off and a little more hands-on. And I think you got to find a happy medium somewhere in the middle there. Because some of these games getting through just doesn't make much sense to me.
That was one of my favorite parts of this interview, was how he was like, because he just told it exactly how it is. He said it how he would have said it in a boardroom or to any of his employees. He said
exactly.
He said, "Look, hey, is it okay that this game is a 60? No, this is bad. We're really sorry about that. It shouldn't be in the state it is, et cetera, et cetera. However, if you are afraid that you are going to put out a bad game and you restrict every single studio that you have to making cookie cutter, this is going to hit the masses games, and that's all you ever do, then you're pigeonholing yourself and you've really stagnated the creativity and the breadth of games that you can get." When he came out and he was just fully like, if you're afraid to put out a 60 game, not that you should put out a 60 game, but if you're afraid to put out a 60 game, then you shouldn't be in entertainment. You shouldn't be in anything like that. Because when you look at the videos on my channel, look at the videos on any YouTuber's channel, right? Even your favorite YouTuber has a couple videos that are trash. I guarantee it.
Yeah, of course.
I guarantee it.
Absolutely.
Right? Because they're taking shots, right? And not everything's going to hit. But sometimes they try something out and it doesn't work. And that's part of this game. All things entertainment. Sometimes you take a shot and it doesn't work. Sometimes Marvel puts out the Eternals and it sucks. Right? Sometimes it just happens. right? But does that mean that Marvel should stop doing movies that are based on characters that people don't know? No. Look at Guardians. It's like the biggest thing on the planet, right?
Good call out, Daniel.
You have to take these chances, and if that means
failing every now and again.
In the same year, we got Hi-Fi Rush from Tango Gameworks, a game that they would have never made. It's a very strange game, right? And yes, both this and Redfall, both Hi-Fi Rush and Redfall were, greenlit before Microsoft took over, but it fits to the idea, right?
Right.
Is Hi-Fi Rush very much a game that Tango would never have made? Great game.
Nope.
Like what is it? Like an 89 on Metacritic? Like it's
I think it's 89 or 90 on
If we hadn't gotten Hi-Fi Rush, like to Daniel's point, it would have been Evil Within 3. Instead, we got Hi-Fi Rush, which is a fantastic.
Which he actually made mention of that on the interview.
Yeah.
I believe they're pretty much in production right now.
They are doing it. But you know what I'm saying? Like they could have said no to Hi-Fi Rush because you have to get Evil Within 3 out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, and the part of it is, right, not only does that, like, it's not just like, oh, we got to do the good thing because we're a good guy Xbox. It's not even that, right? It's because they're operating on a different sort of market, right? You look at PlayStation and they're very much, they have to put out games that are kind of samey, and yes, very good, but kind of samey, because every single game that they put out has to hit, right? It has to, because they have no other way of making that money other than console sales and unit sales, right? They have to get that money through selling products, whereas Xbox just needs to get people to subscribe to Game Pass. So if they have a studio that they're like, hey, we want to make a character action game, and nobody else in the studio family has made a character action game, they're like, cool, we'll have something that can appeal to the people who like those kind of games. Right. So they'll come into Game Pass, and then they'll be like Red Tree, who it's like Ravenlock is a game that's in there. I don't think any of us would have played it if it wasn't in Game Pass, because it's like what, $20, but like I'm not going to spend $20 in a game I don't know nothing about, right? They're competing in a different way. This is something that I saw in the chat earlier that I wanted to speak to a little bit. I forget who said it.
Yeah, talk about it, brother.
But they had said, Phil Spencer shouldn't have said that they can't compete or whatever. And I was like, first of all, he didn't say that. That was Jim Ryan. I don't know what interview you were watching. They are different people. However, what he did say is that they're not trying to out console PlayStation or Nintendo, because they're not going to do that. That's not the market that they're in anymore. They've moved on to being a subscription service that also has a console. Yes, they want to sell you the console. Yes, the console is still the center of their ecosystem. He talked about all that, how console is going to be a huge thing and it's going to be very important to them going forward. And literally, he said, for as long as people want to play on console, there will be a console, right? So yes, the console is very important to them, but it's not the singular thing that they judge their success on. They judge their success based on how many people are playing it, what's their subscriber numbers. They just made $1 billion off Game Pass last quarter. They're doing fine.
They're doing all right. They're doing all right.
I think it's one wrinkle. It's one wrinkle I want to add to what you said there, Danny, and I agree with you on everything there. Clearly, you got it right. But the thing I would say that is, yes, I do appreciate that Phil is saying, hey, we're going to allow these creators to create and be, and give us unique things, and I won't stifle their creative vision. I appreciate that, and I think all of us should. One thing I will say, though, is like I said on the show, Red Tree, with you guys, is trust but verify. You can't 100%. Just have them.
1,000%.
You can't just give it to them and say, yeah, go ahead and do your thing, and do not check and see what the game is looking like. That is where the quality control comes in that Sony excels at, and Nintendo typically excels at in most cases. Obviously, the Pokemon game being one of the things, but that's second party. But but my whole thing is trust but verify. Like, let them do those things, but be there to make sure that those things are looking good too.
100%.
That's because it's only going to benefit the platform when you do that. And I believe I said on the show is, his ceiling was, we're going to have games that hit 70. We're going to have games that do. I think that part is what annoyed me the most out of it.
Yeah, that was an oopsie too, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
You should have said that.
I think that
just because
saying that they're going to shoot for that. He's just
I know
it's going to happen. Even PlayStation puts out games that are in the 70s sometimes. Look at Days Gone. Look at, Forspoken wasn't theirs, but look at Forspoken. Look at
Forspoken. I don't
racing game that they had.
Well, Forspoken is not theirs, so I'm not going to name it. Yeah, but that shouldn't be their. It's part of being. But it shouldn't be their aim, right? What I want to hear him say is, sometimes we're going to fail, but we're aiming for great games regardless every time we put out a game.
Well, that's what he said.
No, he didn't quite say it like that.
He
That's why I
was
said,
saying
this is why I said, hold on.
30 minutes.
This
that
is
they
why I
needed to
said what
put
it
out
matters
quality
is come down to how you say what you say. See, I can say a ton of things to you any kind
Here
of
we
way.
go. The brothers are going at it again.
Yeah, but
he said,
I'm just telling you, I can say things to you.
Throw your toys at him, Daniel. Throw your toys at him.
They can't harm me through the screen. No, but
my G.I. Joe.
Ouch. I was wrong. But no,
damn Legos.
It's all how you say what you say, right? I tell people this all the time. You can, my grandmother used to tell me, you can attract flies with honey or with vinegar, right? As they would say. So if my ceiling for them, it bothered me how he said it, because it's like, Phil, I get you on that, and I understand exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I would love for their internal thing to be, we want our games, the lowest that they would get is 80. That's what I mean by quality control. That when you're on them and you're watching, you're making sure that internally even if you get these mock people who they got externally to look at this game and say, we see it as 10 points higher than this meta that it came out to be. And which I'm still confused on.
I'm
still very crazy to me.
Well. Yeah.
But
I would just want them to internally look at this and say, we want our stuff to hit 80 and higher going forward. And I think honestly, with this interview here, seeing how he reacted, I think that's going to be kind of what they go for. It's going to be a higher quality
like
control,
threshold,
a higher threshold. I think that's what's going to happen because of it.
Well, change has to happen. There's I mean, the bottom line is that this can't happen again. You've heard many people say that, specifically Jez Corden of Windows Central was like, this happened. It's a bump in the road that comes out of the of Randall Thor with their last episode, which was phenomenal. And I agree. It's a bump in the road. Yes, it is. Like I said, I'm enjoying it. I've actually had people tell me, "How dare I enjoy this game? You shouldn't be playing this game, because every time you play this game, boom, you're telling them it's okay." That is ridiculous. Honestly, we all know the problems. I mean, we just spent the last hour and 6 minutes discussing Redfall again, and it is what it is. And it's not going to happen again. Look, I mean, we heard that they did an internal test or review of The Last of Us 2, which I didn't like the story, but we cannot argue that game is not stunning to look at. The control is phenomenal. The new additions I mean, listen, I hated the story, but the game for me was there was a lot of things I did like about the game. I liked the new characters that they introduced. I really hated what they did with Ellie, but that's fine. It is what it is. It's designer's choice. But they did an internal review, and if you are on Xbox, you gotta say, if you're a part of this internal review, you should say, I see what the appeal is for Sony fans on these types of games, and we are getting them, folks. We are getting them. Hellblade is, listen, I can't say much. I have a particular individual that reached out to me that gave me the skinny, and all they could tell me is that this game is going to be leaps and bounds better in every way possible than the original. Take that for what it's worth. That game, Hellblade, which we're going to talk about as well on today's show, is expected to release, and I say expected to release because being that Phil was a bit out of sorts. He was a cranky Phil. I think he kind of let the cat out of the bag a little bit, where he said, for the rest of 2023, we have, Motorsport, Starfield, and he mentioned Hellblade. He kind of stopped for a second. So again, I expect, and this is just me, I expect they're going to open with Hellblade, and we're going to get a release date, and it's going to be holiday of 2023. Well,
I've said this many times before that I thought Hellblade 2 would release this year, and
yeah, me too.
Everything we're seeing now lately seems to kind of point to that. It
suggests that it is going to release, and it's going to be.
That's fine. It's going to be the type of wall for both of y'all knees right here.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I'll give you my knees. I still think it's going to be here, but look,
I think I'm with Daniel.
Okay, listen.
It's going to be 2 against 2.
I love having these conversations. Half the podcast thinks it's a yay, and the other thinks it's a nay. This is what we live for. Let me catch up on the super chats. Been quite a few of them. And I do want to
boom on that. I might have missed some. My the chat was screwing up for me. I had to close it down, so I don't know if I got them all.
You know what? Okay, so I'm going.
I think I did though.
Okay, so real quick to give everyone a heads up who I'm sitting down with, because obviously Retro asked, and I was going to do the advertising today. I am sitting down with Liam Brown. He's part of the Pittsburgh Knights. He's an esports player. He has a corporate sponsorship with a lot of big gaming places. He's a gamer. Like I said, his PR team had reached out to me a couple of weeks ago. We were supposed to sit down last week, and emails got crossed. So obviously, I'm going to be sitting down with Liam this Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I didn't know who he was because, like I said,
I don't know who he is. What game is it that he's playing? Like, what's the game?
Let's see what his bio says here.
Sorry if I just threw you a curveball.
No. I mean, like I said, I'm writing up his stuff right now. I actually don't even know what games he plays, to be honest with you. Like I said, I have all his stuff in front of me. I have his bio. I don't want to sit down and just interview him as an esports player because I don't have any interest in esports. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm sitting down with him to give us his history, to tell us what he has done. But I want to talk. He's a gamer, so I want to sit down.
Is it Aiden Knight? Is that his name, or is
no?
It
it's
something
Liam
else?
Brown.
Liam. Okay.
Yeah,
Different
Liam
person.
Brown. He's a part of the Pittsburgh Knights.
Wow, I totally screwed that up.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, so that's why I'm going to be sitting down. But listen, I do want to catch up on the super chats. Again, there's been quite a few of them, and I honestly cannot thank you enough. So Drawn TJ drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, I can't wait to see State of Decay 3. I bet it comes 2024. That's a game that definitely needs an update for sure. We know that the Coalition has been helping them with that game. Who knows?
2024 though, I don't see that. Not 2024.
I mean, the game's been worked on for a long time.
I definitely
So do I. I see next year for sure, man. I really do. Maybe at the end of the year, maybe a
holiday next
or
year.
That'd be a great Halloween game for sure.
Be wrong again.
I know that'll be in my precious Unreal Engine, so I'm happy with that at least.
Unreal Engine 5, as a matter of fact,
yes.
Which is great.
My precious.
Antonio Newman drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, I would argue that since they are not trying to sell boxes, it makes it easier for Sony to get these third-party exclusives. Just my opinion. But
it's definitely easier just based off of how many PlayStation people there are out there. So, yeah, any deals that come through, Xbox is probably going to have to pay twice as much. That's just 100%. Dollars and cents. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, obviously, when the market, I mean, like we got numbers, right? Apparently, for worldwide, Sony has a 15 million console lead over Xbox, which is at 22, and they're almost at 37 million consoles sold. I mean, I know this is not, we don't do consolation prizes here, but if you just look at the best-selling Xbox at any one time this year was at any given point was the Xbox 360. The Xbox Series X and S have beaten that leaps and bounds. Now, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? It's not a Sony thing. Sony is going to sell. They're selling a lot of PlayStation 5. That's just a fact, folks. Like it, love it, or hate it, the PlayStation is selling well. They're selling. They have just about a 15 million lead over Xbox. And what changes that? First party bangers. I hate to use the B word, but I had to.
Bangers.
When you start if Hellblade hits this year, and it's being compared to a Sony title, and everyone's loving it, and it's getting meta scores out the yin yang, people will look at Xbox. And again, we know that even though Starfield isn't quote unquote a zeitgeist title, that game is being looked upon even by normies. I have people reaching out to me all the time. In the Starfield, I used to play Bethesda games, back in the 360 days. Is it going to be like Skyrim, or is it going to be like, Oblivion? And it's Oblivion in space, or Skyrim in space. It has the potential, if it scores well and the media and everyone is talking about it. Even the normies or the casual gamers would be like, "Oh man, Star Wars!" There's been talk already. It's going to be the Han Solo simulator, right? Like I'm going to play this game like Han Solo. I'm going to shoot first, right? I mean, that's what. I mean, if that's how you're going to play, good on you. You know what I'm saying? Black Sausage drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "Hey, you guys seen the newest Xbox hate du jour? The ESRB rating suggests in-game purchases for Starfield, like almost every game, clutching pearls." Yeah, I saw that. I actually have the story in front of me.
Yeah.
I pulled gamesradar.com did the story and says Starfield's rating confirms in-game purchases, which doesn't necessarily mean microtransactions, and it doesn't. It's
I think we got to wait on that one because that is so open-ended. Like, that could be, that could be them doing a Fortnite. For all we know, it could be a Fortnite thing where they open up a market for mods on PC to sell their stuff. You know what I mean? So, did they? Okay, I didn't read it yet.
Said that in the story. So there you go.
Who knows?
Traybone 408 drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, "Phil is talking about selling your console, Dig plus library." I mean, he's what he, I mean, what he said was that
that's some L plus ratio shit. Like, I don't know what's going on.
I don't even know what that means. All I know is that if you're referring to him saying that people aren't going to sell their PlayStation 5s for an Xbox, he's right because of a digital library. But I don't think people have to. I think people can own, like myself, multiple consoles. If it's in your budget, you can, and you want to support multiple platforms, you can buy your games like I do on Switch. I buy all my games physical on Switch. I buy all my games digitally on PlayStation 5, and I have Xbox Game Pass. And yes, I do buy games. I do buy third-party games on there. I don't have to buy first-party. That's the beauty of Xbox Game Pass. Let's see. Rizzo 34 drops a very generous $5 super chat, and welcome to the show there, brother. He says, "Do you think this year will be too soon for Hellblade 2? No, I do not, brother. I think it's November. Honestly, I think you're going to get September, October, November games. Honestly, I really believe that's how it's going to play out. It was reported that they were yet to be in full production as of June 2022. No, that is incorrect. They finished last year. All of, from what I understand, all the mocap work was done because they announced it, and that game has been worked on since 2018. So I even before then, from what I understand. So I think the game is ready for prime time. Raiden Blade drops a very generous £5 super chat and says, "Phil can say what he wants. No matter what, the hating pony bots or the media will always be negative. Almost everyone on YouTube is just negative, especially for Redfall." I mean, it's kind of earned the negativity because it was, marketed and sold to us based on that trailer of, hey, we got one more thing for you as this big AAA monster. And there's no cutscenes, there's no stealth kill animations, there's a lot of bugs that need to be addressed. The AI is just dumb as stumps. But with all of that said, I have found a way to put nearly 40 plus hours into the game, and I'm close to beating it. So I'm quite enjoying my time with it. And I definitely want to try and play some of the other characters. But like I said, we're coming into a lot of big games, Zelda being the next big one as well. And I got to get to Ravenlock. I got to get to Planet of Lana, which releases on the 23rd. I want to get back to Benedict Fox. It's just
same.
It's just too many games. And I only have two hands.
Xbox has games.
It has games. Too many games.
Maybe not enough first party, but they got games.
Yeah, they have games. They do. They definitely do.
Hey, Boom. Before you go on, are we kind of touching on that whole Hellblade thing, or is that
let's talk about it. Come on.
No, I want you to read it, but I just wanted to know because on that last super chat you had there about asking about it. If we're going to it, I'll wait for this that I'll add.
We're going to talk about it. We are definitely going to. We're definitely going to talk about it because I want to talk about. I think. It's been too long since Ninja Theory showed why Microsoft acquired them. I know that there was a lot of question into something that many podcasters, including Colin Moriarty, had a big thing with the community where he came out and said, "I don't even know why they purchased Ninja Theory. It makes no sense. Then you're just dumb. I'm sorry, because that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. It's the same way. Why did Sony go out and buy for $300 million Insomniac Games? Because they're an effing epic developer who makes tons of money for them now and
Mhm.
has been leading their teams, basically keeping Sony afloat with as many releases as they've had. And they still have a ton of stuff that's coming. We still have heard that they've been teasing forever that there was going to be a Resistance Fall of Man remake, which I freaking cannot wait for. It's one of my favorite PlayStation 3 games. So that's just ridiculous. So yeah, I mean, there's that. We have Raiden Blade drops an additional £2. Super Chat says, boom, and panel. Why is God of War a reskin of Rise, Son of Rome? I mean,
I think Boom is a few above that one that
we
you
did get a Rise too.
Okay, let's see. Okay. So Raiden Blade drops a £5 super chat. Says okay, so he says
That's
an
the
additional £5 super chat. I just want to point out my current problem. Redfall, Ghostwire, and Ravenlock. I'm loving them, but I can see Redfall becoming the next Sea of Thieves. I agree. I think that Phil said it. He said that they're going to support the studio. They're going to support the game.
Yeah.
And he specifically mentioned Sea of Thieves and Grounded. Now, they're not.
Yeah.
This game isn't going to be turned into a gas game, but I think what he meant, and that's how at least I took it, was that he was going to allow for this game to be repaired,
to breathe. Yeah, I agree.
Breathe,
Yeah, absolutely. And that I didn't mean to go down that. I only said the gas thing because Kei Asante had brought that up, and I thought it was actually a pretty good point. But no, I think this is like just about DLC, just about improving it, and that's probably it in my opinion. But I don't think Xbox is now garnished a reputation of fixing their stuff after the fact. So I don't think Redfall is going to be the exception to the rule. I think they're going to do the
I don't think so. I think they are going to they're going to fix what was wrong with it. And I think they owe us the fans to do that.
Yeah, they have
they
to.
absolutely have to fix it. They can't just be like, well, 60 meta, it's out, F it. They cannot do that because that sends a terrible message to to gamers. And I don't think they're going to do it because he on this interview, he said that that's what they were going to do. And I'm gonna hold him to that. I'm gonna hold Phil Spencer to deliver. But let me just make sure that I caught up on all of the super chats.
One more for
I just put one more
above.
in.
Actually, two for him, but it's one above that one where the Phil can say what he wants. You didn't read that.
Oh, Dreadful Sean just dropped one, but let me get to him in a second. Trey Bone, Black Rizzo.
It's 5 up from the bottom. It's a Raiden Blade, $5. Phil can say what he wants.
Phil can say what he wants. It's no matter. Oh, that's what I read it before. The hating.
I'm
sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. So we are up to date, except for Dreadful Sean. And Sean, what's up, brother? Welcome back. He drops a $5 super chat and says, "Colin made that comment about Ninja Theory because he was pissed Sony didn't buy them." Well, I mean, if he said that, then that's, that's not the context. I mean, maybe I misstrued it, but
that's as organic as it gets too. Getting a team that was 20 people is now 6 times the size. I'm sorry, they planted that seed, and is it growing nicely? Just saying.
And they're working on multiple games. Hellblade 2 is coming out. They have
Project Mara,
Project Mara, which is the horror game that they're doing. And listen, I'm glad that they purchased them because that studio was going to be sunk if they didn't get purchased by Microsoft.
People.
There's no doubt about it. And they actually even said that. But let's have a little fun, folks, because that's what these shows are all about. I kind of want to just get it out there. This is not going to be a major topic because we've got to get into Hellblade and what we think this game is going to be and what it can't be. Again, the original was made by 16 people. It is a classic. It is a phenomenally made game. It tells an incredible, very, very hard-pressed story about mental illness. It does it in a way that I walked away understanding it a little bit more, especially, and I've said this to many people, if you play that game or you haven't played the game, you do yourself a disservice by not wearing headphones because there really is a lot of the minutia of the breakdown of what this mental illness is when you have the headphones on, because you do hear the voices.
And they stepped it up too with the next one, big time. Boom! They the audio team went to Iceland. Like if you see the behind the scenes stuff of what these guys are doing, it's going to be great.
I'm very much looking forward to it. I think one of the things that a lot of people disliked about Hellblade with the puzzles were some. I mean, like I had to have Mrs. Boom come in with a second eye, and like I can't figure that. She'd come in and she's
And she's like,
unbelievable
boom,
with
boom,
puzzles.
boom. Yeah.
She's like, oh no, just turn it this way, and I'm like, how did I didn't see that? And she goes, well, you're not me, and she's not wrong. So
She's like, it's right there. What are you talking about?
Answer's right in front of your face.
Yeah, it's
What's
right.
going on?
And the combat was very, one button-ish. You blocked,
Yeah,
right?
it's
You
pretty stiff.
chop, 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 and you block and you chop, chop, chop. This from what I was told behind the scenes is a step up 1,000%. So I'm we will see. But I do want to take the PTK Blam tweet and kind of run with it. Obviously, go definitely follow him and subscribe to his channel because he does an amazing Saturday show each and every week. It's a little bit later because he's in Arizona, but it's a phenomenal show nonetheless. And he asked the question, gentlemen, pick a first party Xbox studio and pair it with a Marvel character. So I'm going to go first here because I have.
You guys someone's going to steal my answer. It always happens. But go ahead.
Well, I hope not.
Steal all of your answers.
For
I've been reading your mind this whole time.
For me, it's Coalition Punisher.
Okay,
that's what I think. I think that the Coalition could do that close quarter Punisher combat, but they can also do a lot of good work with what Punisher's known for, and that is ultra violence through weapons.
Hold on, Boom. Third person action or
third person action for 100%. Yeah, it's got to be.
Yeah,
it's got to be.
I want
camera kills. I want him putting his people's heads into frying pans that are cooking. I want all of that. Remember that old Punisher game we used to put people into the fish, the piranha tank? It was awesome. So that's for me personally. I think that there's something there. I think being that they're working with Disney, they definitely need to get a particular character that's not associated with Sony, so it could be solely associated with Xbox. It's that zeitgeist situation where if you put out an adult, third person, over the shoulder, violent game, and you attach the Punisher, which is coming back in the new Daredevil series that's coming, and he's going to get his own series after that. It would work out perfectly. So, Retri, what is your pick?
Okay, you were kind of like in the ballpark of mine. I felt like just with what you picked and the studio picked, but I'm gonna go with Deadpool by id Software. I think it's a perfect marriage, dude. Right? Because you got Deadpool, he's using his guns, he's got the mouth on him, and we're talking about id, who gives 0 Fs, right? Yeah. And their gunplay is the best in the business. I think that would be a perfect. Well, normally it would be first, but I want to, I have to go third, which is a little offsetting from. I think it has to be third, a big right?
IP and then not show the character.
It has to be third. Either way, I think that team can do almost anything. I got a lot of faith in id, so that's what I'm going with.
It's a good one. 2 good ones so far.
Umbra, what's your pick, man?
I feel like I want to let Danny go because I feel like my answer is going to be better than his.
Okay, all right. So let's we'll let Daniel McGee take the floor. Daniel, what is your pick for Xbox first party and Marvel character?
Okay, so I think that's pretty easy for me. I know I'm going to go 2 ways with this, right? So if I'm stuck to specifically Marvel, then I'm going X-Men. Because it's like their biggest non-Spider-Man brand. Everyone knows X-Men. Everyone loves X-Men. Who do I give that to? I mean, Coalition is a good bet. I bet that they can do pretty much anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but I'm going to say Obsidian. I think give Obsidian, dude. Have them making some big X-Men RPG where I don't know if you even make your own character and then you just have your team of guys and you go around. I think that'd be a huge win. I think Obsidian doing anything with X-Men would be the absolute best thing in the world, and I'd be here for it 100%. However,
I really like Obsidian. Oh my god, he's got more.
Great. Such a good studio.
But wait, there's more.
That would be a W.
Oh wait, there's more. Do what?
That would be a W, no doubt.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I wouldn't if I had all the power in my universe, right? I'm armchair CEO. I'm Phil Spencer. I'm not going to Disney. Not right now. They're busy. They got stuff going. They got stuff in the oven. But I know that there's a certain man who's specifically looking to make games that are canon to his universe and probably needs help doing it. And that's James Gunn, known video game player, known Xbox fanboy. Well, not fanboy, but fan.
He's a fan of Xbox. Yeah, he is.
Bring James Gunn in. Be like, hey, what do you need? We can help out your studios. We can take control of some of this stuff. We can help you get these games made, right? And then not only are you making superhero IP games, but you're making superhero IP games that are coming out into the new DCU, which is going to be pretty great. I think we all know that James Gunn is probably the best director
talent
the
is
MCU
legendary.
had,
There's no doubt
and
about
he's going to be in charge of the DCU. He's extremely talented because by and large, seemingly because he's the only director over there who takes the time to figure out what he's doing before he starts filming, which is not something that you would think would be rare, but it turns out it is. So yeah, I'd be going over there and I'd be like, James, whatever you need, buddy.
Yeah, I agree. That's impressive.
I don't know. I think that's the best answer. I'm not sure I care what you say, Umbra. I think that's probably the that's the banger throwing answer right there. I'm sorry. That even beats mine. I thought mine was pretty good too.
You want to know something that's crazy right here? When he answered, I was like, damn it.
Yeah.
Outside of the team he picked, the X-Men was my answer.
X-Men's the go-to.
That's why you don't let anyone else go first.
I'll never let it happen again. Yeah. But no, the X-Men for me, it would have been X-Men paired with Ninja Theory.
Oh yeah.
And it would have been an actioner. It wouldn't have been like, I do think though the Obsidian making it. Yeah, they can go so deep with that.
Obsidian's a very good.
I can see that for sure.
But to your point, if you do Ninja Theory and they do all the psychological stuff that they're really good for, then you can get a remix of that bit where what is it, Jean Grey, and she's like, my mind,
from
the cartoon
going into the Phoenix.
We get to see,
that's a good point.
And we get to see Wolverine and Cyclops, Jean, 1,000 times over. But
let's go.
But you know, since you stole that from me, I think he did a little, you know, new, and he ripped that from my head. I'm going to step outside of Marvel. I'm going to go DC. Since we keep talking about DC and we want them to get WB, I'm going to go and I'm going to use an existing Microsoft Studio. So I'm going to say Batman. And how about Batman made by Ninja Theory instead? And
that's a strong pick, dude.
Kind of like the movie, like the latest movie was more
absolutely
laid back. Yeah.
Not only do we know that Ninja Theory can do combat well, they have they picked up one of the better combat animators too. I believe.
Recently, as a matter of fact,
exactly. But they also are great at storytelling. So think of Senua Saga and how great that was atmospherically, and how they played into her psychosis. We all know Batman is a little off. So imagine him going into that right there and having him being more gritty, darker, even darker than what we got from Arkham Knight and City and things like that. Batman, where it's more looking into, I guess, what makes him what he is, and the combat being solid. Now, I know Batman is used to death, right? So if we decided to go away from Batman, how about Daredevil, made by Ninja
that's
Theory?
A strong one. Yeah,
Daredevil, definitely.
I'd love a Daredevil game. Absolutely, 100%. That'd be fantastic.
There's a lot of good answers in the chat too.
Yeah,
man. Coalition, Judge Dredd. Some of the super chats are like,
I'm gonna. There's actually quite a few of them. Let's see. You know, like I don't know how many people raised their hand played. Oh my God! Why am I thinking? Why am I drawing a blank live on the air? The game that was on PlayStation 5 that launched into Game Pass, Ghostwire Tokyo. A lot of people compared the hand movements
to
the strings pulling
Doctor
to
Strange. 100%.
Absolutely,
they nailed it.
Kind of dope. I kind of like that.
I kind of see that.
I mean, look. Here's the thing, folks, and I see a lot of people going on this. You know, we're just having a fun conversation before we get to Senua, because I think that, listen. Redfall is what it is. Motorsport is going to be great. Let's not twist it. It's going to be astounding. Now, again, I'm more of a arcade guy, but you can tell by my driving, I couldn't do Forza. I'm all over the place with my driving. I actually have people commenting, "God, Boom's driving is making me sick." It's good stuff. Listen, I'm not a professional driver. What can I tell you? I just have fun. But Starfield is gonna, it's gonna hit, folks. Like I kind of feel, just based on what Phil said about how, it was an all hands on deck kind of situation. I think they threw everyone and anyone at this game to get it done. This is one of those things you're going to see in the credits where it's going to be like 5 or 6 studios working on this. This is I can't say specifically because I don't know. Like, I'm just a dumb podcaster, so I'm just going to throw my opinion out there. The importance of Starfield for Xbox is so large that I kind of feel this might have been a Call of Duty situation where, there's like 8 studios that helped make Call of Duty the last one. There might be 5 or 6 studios that popped in on the back end. So we got to get this done. And you're going to see their credits in the credits. We don't know that. Yeah. That's just my opinion. But I kind of feel like, yeah, because, we've been hearing they've been so secretive. They're not letting a lot of people talk about Starfield because it's that important. Now, again, my point, sorry for being long-winded, is that a lot of people keep saying the word need. And I don't think that any of us are suggesting they quote unquote need this to fight off the Sony bots. But there is something to be said. And again, I hate to keep using the same word, but the Zeitgeist character IP does really matter. I understand console sales, guys, are not the thing. They're not the metric for Xbox, but it sure helps selling your console. And look what Hogwarts did for Sony. Yeah. When Sony reported that their numbers for the month of March were like 400%, the top 5 games in that month of March were all 2 things: Zeitgeist-based titles and all marketed by PlayStation, the masters of marketing. That's why they sold so many of those damned PS5s, not only because they had them, because they were advertising like crazy. And the top 5 selling games are all working with Xbox. I mean, working with PlayStation. So there's something to be said about having a Zeitgeist IP like Daredevil, like X-Men. We have, let's see, Drawn TJ says they need an Unreal Engine team that helps games instead of Coalition. I mean, no one's better than Coalition. That's why they're helping so many different people.
But I kind of agree with them. Like, I think,
they definitely
if you have to pull off the Coalition to do it, then you're taking away from the Coalition. Yeah, just 100%. Kind of like PlayStation has their polishing group. I don't necessarily disagree with this.
I agree. I think that now I don't remember who Jez Corden mentioned. He said that they have a studio.
ATG that's helping them with Starfield.
Okay. Yep. Yeah.
They could definitely do, like, I get what he's saying on that. Maybe not specific just to Unreal Engine. Although, of course, I co-sign
that would be fire, though.
But yeah, having a team that's there to improve quality and help go in, absolutely. A polishing team, that would be dope. They should do that.
Yep, they absolutely should. With the number of studios that they have, those guys will never be out of work. Like, they'll always be busy.
So true.
Yeah, I mean, listen. Look, let me read these super chats because there's been a lot of. And again, the chat's going crazy with this. I'll try and read some because some of them are really good. We have Giggity08 drops a $5 super chat and says, "This is an easy one. Tango making a third-person Blade game. I like a Blade game. I'd like to see. I'd love to see Blade find his way into Redfall as a character. That would be kind of dope. I'm just saying.
All 24 frames of him."
24 frames of him. You are just.
I can't help myself.
You just.
What do you say? Some mothers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
Yeah, I know. I love that.
That wasn't the exact line, Umbrus.
I had to edit it.
You can't. We're on live TV. I love that they were like, say something cool, and that's what he came up with.
That's a badass line, though.
He's awesome.
I love him. It really is a badass line. No doubt about that. Mario,
such a good movie.
187 drops a $5 super chat and says Ninja Theory or FromSoft should do a Spawn game, and the people who did Psychonauts should do The Mask game, which of course that's a
That's
pretty
a cool.
freaking.
That's a really cool pick.
It
I
It's
is
like
love
out there.
that.
I
very
kind of
unique.
like
That is
that.
freaking pretty cool.
I could
yeah.
absolutely see.
I can
Tim
see it. You
Schafer
can
and
see
team
it
doing this.
happening.
I can see that. Yeah, I
Yeah,
can see that with
that's
him.
a
Double
very good
Fine
fit.
has a humor that they bring to their games that is unlike anyone else's. Like it's getting Ninja Theory is great. And obviously, Obsidian is a big deal. There's so many big great picks, but I don't ever see anyone talking about Double Fine being an important get for Xbox, and I think that they're just a phenomenal studio led by Tim Schafer, who's one of my favorite. Like Tim,
one of my favorites as
is
well.
one of my
Schafer's a
favorite
legend,
people in
dude.
gaming. Like honestly, I love Tim. And I actually was there at E3 when they announced it, and he came out and
Oh,
he's
nice.
yeah,
He's
it
got
was
the
funny.
Zune in his pocket.
Yeah, he said, yeah. So just FYI,
that's
when
great.
when they didn't bring us in to make the next Halo, he's just a funny guy. I love that.
He's awesome. He really is.
He is.
Oscar
Wheat. And I love Psychonauts, by the way, 1 and 2.
Oh, dude, it's
Go,
phenomenal.
go watch the documentary with them on Psychonauts 2. It's about 21 hours, but it's totally worth it. It's awesome.
Yeah. Anytime you hear him talk about gaming, he just seems like just a really cool dude to want to just have a Dr. Pepper,
have a beer with.
For me, I don't drink beer, but the Oscar Wheat in the chat. Oscar, welcome to the program, brother. He drops a $2 super chat and says Spawn with Ninja Theory would be insane. Yeah, it would absolutely. I think everyone's calling for a Spawn game. I think Todd McFarlane would love a new Spawn game because they're working on the film right now, which is supposed to be pretty damn awesome. Hopefully they can get that to production. Brett Bingham who's been a channel member for 6 months, drops a $2 super chat. And thank you for the generosity, Brett. He says Doctor Strange with Arcane Lion. Yeah, I could see that. Tom from Tanami drops a $2 super chat and says Ninja Theory take on the bat that actually laughs. That would be kind of a weird to see a laughing Batman, but that would be interesting.
That was an event right there in the comics, right there. That actually be really deep. Because the Batman who laughs, that was the creepy Danny. You know what I'm talking about. That's the creepy alternate universe Batman.
That's the Joker Batman.
The Joker
right?
Batman. Exactly.
I saw a figure. I saw a model of him. It looks freaking awesome, to be honest with you.
It's a cool design, but the story's awful.
It's
like I've read those books. They're bad. Like I'm sorry, y'all.
I would trust them to improve on it. I guess. How about that?
I would hope so. They would have to.
Yeah.
You couldn't.
So they can't get any worse, huh?
Can't get worse.
They can't get any worse. Hilarious. Drawn TJ drops an additional $10 super chat and says, I say Ninja Theory and Coalition make an RPG with Deadpool and the Punisher together in Unreal Engine 5. Of course, Umbro is smiling for that. Gamer by Choice drops a generous $5 super chat and says, do you all think Xbox might catch eye of regulators if they start money heading games like Sony? I think at this point
probably
maybe, but Sony just announced, or it's going to be announced soon, from what I understand, that they just locked up 3 major IPs that are probably going to be permanently exclusive. They say timed exclusive. That's full of S. We know how Sony does their business. Castlevania, Silent Hill, and Metal Gear Solid 3 Remake. I don't know why they chose that. I like Snake Eater, but I would have rather, me personally, because I was talking with Paris. Well, I wasn't talking with Paris. He had put out a tweet that said every Metal Gear after 1 is trash. That's
3, right? Is Snake Eater? Is that the third one?
Yeah,
Snake Eater was the third one, which was
I would have chose that one. That's a weird choice, in my opinion.
Metal Gear Solid 1.
Definitely would have started with the first one.
My top 5 game in my top 5 of all time. Metal Gear Solid 1 on the
Love
PlayStation.
that game. Absolutely
Phenomenal.
agree. Not my top 5, but definitely can see why it is one of yours.
Unbelievable.
Loved it.
So much history with that, and of course the remake that they did on the GameCube was awesome. Oh my god, it was so freaking good. And I can't believe that was an exclusive. Could you imagine that? Let's see. Bone Slave, good friend of the program, just a $2 super chat and says, oh, this is a good one. Turok, the Turok game with the Coalition and Cyberpunk Batman Beyond. Holy shit, that would be.
I just love anyone saying Turok. Thank you.
Thank you, Turok.
I have no clue. I don't care. I just
AJ pointed out something that made sense.
I don't know if it was.
It was originally an exclusive for Nintendo 64. It was terrible. It was
so
a fog
good.
game. You basically fog all over the place. But I beat that game actually.
Do you remember the promotion they had for Turok where they were like,
I
you
love
can
that
have
game.
free whatever for life if you name your baby Turok?
I don't remember that.
Somebody
No.
There is
Somebody
a real
did it. You
human
know.
Turok out there.
Right. Hey, my name is
A very
Turok
pissed off
Jenkins.
40-year-old
How are you?
Turok.
That's Turok Jenkins.
Turok.
Turok Williams,
AJ
Ohio State.
The
AJ made a good comment. He said, but in order, in order, 3 is the first technically with Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, that's what
it
was saying.
It's a prequel story.
So maybe that's why I can see that.
Yeah, I guess that. Yeah, that does make sense.
The best one. Everyone knows this. People look. Hey now, everyone loves Snake Eater. Don't give me that face, Boom. I see you. It's the best one. Everyone knows this. It's the best Metal Gear. All of the Metal Gear stories. People like to talk mess about how like, oh man, Kingdom Hearts story is crazy and you cannot follow it. And those people are right, but those people don't mention that that Metal Gear story just as awful. Final Fantasy story just as crazy. You can't.
Yeah, those wackadoos.
Someone got a hand cut off and then the hand turned into a person. I don't know what's going on. Do you?
I will acknowledge. I think Metal Gear Solid 1 still does a fine job, but I think Part 2 is where it started getting kind of wonky. It was like the Sons of Liberty, the Sons of Freedom, and it started going real off the walls from there to me. And for me personally, that's where I thought it kind of got extra in Part 2.
Yeah, I mean, listen, for me, 1 is the GOAT. I love 1. I love the way the Raiden is introduced. I love Psycho Mantis. That you had to literally unplug your controller and put it into the second slot to beat him.
That was so dope.
Freaking awesome.
I thought my PlayStation messed up at one point. I was like, wait, I'm like, it messed up.
My controller's broken.
Yeah.
It's not working. Carlos Alvarado drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, the coalition should be making Republic Commando 2. Holy shit. Kudos to you. Republic Commando on the PlayStation 3 and the OG Xbox. One of my favorite Star Wars games. It was phenomenal. I mean, I played it. They so-called remade it. Its controls were terrible, but I loved the game when it released. That's a great pick.
It holds up weirdly well too. Is the thing.
What's that?
Republic Commando holds up weirdly well for how long ago it came out.
It does. It actually does. The shooting mechanics are not bad considering the game is old as dirt. But yeah. Wakanda drops a very generous £2 super chance. What about Wanda as the Red Witch by Ninja Theory? That's a strong pick.
Yeah,
I like that.
I like that one.
I like that a lot.
I like it, but I would see when I think of things like that. I wonder.
No slander.
No slander. But I just wonder what would be the enemies? What would be the gameplay loop for that? What would be?
Well, okay, touche. Because you just destroy everybody.
It would be other universe
most powerful Marvel character.
I guess you'd have
kind of like Project Mora, kind of like the TV show was, like in her mind. You know what I mean? She's fighting herself essentially.
Interesting. That's a strong thing.
What if you all killing off Avengers or something in there?
Maybe
I'm fine with that too.
Yeah,
alternate universe. She's a zombie in another universe. We've already seen it, and she just destroys everybody.
I love it. Whole Grain Bread. Love the name. Drops a $2 super chat and says they should do Thomas Wayne Batman. Yeah,
like Flashpoint.
Flashpoint, where it was Bruce that died with the mom instead of Thomas Wayne.
The mom lived. So in that universe, only Bruce dies. Thomas becomes Batman and Martha becomes the Joker.
Really? Dude, I might have to. I didn't even know that.
I forgot about that.
I might have to read that.
Yeah,
that's interesting. I thought it was the mother and Bruce that died. And
there's a really great panel where Thomas Batman and Martha Joker are like hugging and crying in Crime Alley, and it's just the one little baby outline.
Thanks for spoiling it.
It's so many years ago.
It is an old story. It definitely is old. Calorie drops a very generous $5 of chances prediction. Sucker Punch and Rocksteady A-Team working on a Superman as PS5 exclusive. Rocksteady B-Team finishing Suicide Squad. I mean, that's a strong prediction. I mean, there was.
I tell you, after seeing this Superman online and what can be done, it actually got me a little excited. What can be done in Unreal, man?
It could. I saw that Unreal Superman video, and that was pretty freaking dope.
It was.
Gamer by Choice drops an additional $2 super chat and says, "I want a Hulk story with destructible environments." Yeah, Hulk Ultimate Destruction is. I'll just take a remake of that from using Unreal Engine and 5 for Umbra. Yeah, give me that. Mario 187 drops an additional $2 super chat and says, "What do you think about the Dead Rising reboot?" Okay, so we are going to specifically cover that on Friday. I will give you my hot take on it. There was a rumor that they were going to reboot Dead Rising, and it was going to be a serious tone like The Last of Us. I don't
No.
know
Oh, yeah,
if that is going to come to fruition
no.
to this. No, I don't necessarily mean it was going to be like The Last of Us. It was going to have a serious tone. And
That's what I'm saying no to.
I mean, listen, Frank is a comical character. I don't know. What I would honestly like is just a remake of the original one. And we're not saving in bathrooms. You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand the wackiness, but I would like the original remade the same way Capcom took on Resident Evil 2, which is one of my number one games in my entire lifespan. 98 Resident Evil is my favorite game, Resident Evil 2 of all time. So that maybe we're gonna cover that, brother, on Friday specifically. But guys, we have a few minutes. Let's. I mean, I know that I advertise this as a Hellblade conversation, but this is one of those podcasts that we kind of went off script, and everyone had a lot of big opinions, and it was fun. Yeah, it was a great show. I do want to get now 50% of the panel, which is of course me and Umbra, and we are right, by the way.
You probably are. I'm gonna say right now, you probably are.
We seem to think that Hellblade 2 is going to be available for us to play in the fall of this year. Daniel and of course Retri think otherwise, and that's awesome, which is why we have so much fun with these conversations. I think the game, first of all, we know after they released one on the Xbox, right? Because originally it was a PlayStation 5 exclusive. It came to Xbox, and once they were done with that, from what has been said, and again, this is just rumors because Phil never talked about it. I've heard some things behind the scenes that when Microsoft approached them, they showed what they were doing with Hellblade 2. And again, I don't know how early in production it was, but Hellblade 1 is considered to be a cult classic for a lot of reasons. Like I said, just play it. It's an incredible game. And that was one of the deciding factors to buy Ninja Theory, was what they were going to do with Hellblade 2. From what I've heard, and it's been out there on the socials, they started developing Hellblade 2 immediately after 1. So the game has technically been in development for 5 or 6 years. I think it's ready for prime time. Let's get Infinite Umbra's opinion on why you may or may not agree with. Do you honestly believe in your heart that it is this year?
Yeah, I do. I actually have been thinking it for a while, and like I said, these things we're seeing now kind of compound that for me. And we spoke about this briefly on the Sunday show, didn't we, Retri?
Yep, sure did. Absolutely.
And my reasoning is, Boom, like you pointed out, Phil mentioning it the way he did, it seems to suggest that not only will we see it at the showcase, which makes sense, because it's been a little while since we've seen anything, at least gameplay. But we also knew about the Game Pass ad that featured Senua in it suddenly. I don't think that's a coincidence.
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm going to read this part. I remember reading the tweet when Ninja Theory posted it. It says, while December 2021 saw a gameplay trailer that looked fairly polished come out, in June 2021, we also got an update from Ninja Theory that the game wasn't yet in full production. So it's likely to still be fairly early in its development process. Now, that was in 2021. We're in 2023. I think at that point, now, this is what I was going to mention on that super chat. There are 4 stages of the game development. You got concept phase, you got pre-production, you got production, then you got polish. I'm going to say, I'm going to guess, but I am almost certain that they are in a production phase right now at this point. 2021, they were probably in pre-production phase. Clearly, they were past concept at that point from what we had already seen in the gameplay trailer they showed us. I think they're in production, if not heading already into polish phase. That would be my guess. So, in my opinion, unless the only reason I can see it being pushed out of 2023 is if Microsoft feels there's too much of a crowd of their first party games.
Mm-hmm.
Or of course, if they're just a little bit behind, maybe they won't release it and have them put it out there when they don't have to. It's either going to be that or early 2024. That is my thinking. That's my belief there. But I have been on that late 2023 train for Hellblade for a long while. If you look back on other podcasts I've been on, I've been saying it for a while. And these things that we've been seeing lately, to me, just seems to signify to me that is what it's going to be.
Yeah. I mean, it's a strong point. I mean, is there a world? See, again, and that's the thing. Like, you make mention of, is it crowded? But see, the thing is, the thing that I take away from that is Microsoft isn't in the business of selling you the game. They're interested in selling you the service. So if they have a big game in September, Starfield, they have Motorsport in October, which is normally releases around October anyway, and they close out the year in November with Hellblade. They don't have to sell you the game. They want to put out this triple play of game of AAA monster titles, and September, October, November, they literally take over the holiday. And people are going to want to buy Xboxes. Maybe they get down to $199 for the Series S. Maybe they drop the Series Series X $50, maybe more, right? And they sell more consoles because they have this Xbox Game Pass. Maybe the Xbox Game Pass family plan has taken off for them, and you have these 3 monster titles to put in your in your advertising. I think there's a world where we can live in where it sees, 3 monster AAA titles, one after another, and they all, because they're all different, right?
Yep.
One is RPG, one is a racer, and the other one is action adventure. I think we could get all 3 of those games in that quarter, and they could all live and breathe because they're going to be different people playing these different genre-based games.
And it's enough space between them also. And I'll add one more wrinkle to this, Boom.
Sure.
Imagine, because you got to keep in mind, I believe the only other first party title they would have will be Age of Empires 4.
Yep. Yes.
As much as we might like Age of Empires 4, and much as many of the niche crowd or whatever it has, that is not a system seller or mover, right?
Not at all.
I don't think it's even the Game Pass subscriber.
Subscriber moving the needle.
Needle mover. Moverer. But think this, like you said, one hit after the other, right? You get Starfield. Imagine that releasing is quality. You get Forza, which we already know is going to be quality. Then you get Hellblade in December. And what happened, by the way? When did we first hear about Hellblade 2? It was in December back in 2000 and was it 19 or 2020, I believe, at the VGAs. So imagine that actually landing back in December. That not only can they use the VGAs to advertise it as well, it lands in Game Pass in December. And it's in a holiday right there where you want to move so many consoles.
Strong point, dude. You're making it. You really solidified why it's coming out. I mean, that is.
I can counter that.
We're going to capture 4 kneecaps on this one. Boom. That's all. We got Danny's and Retries. That's all.
I'm going to hang them right where my energy
right where they can be seen.
My Microsoft certificate of stock. Which
we'll mix and match. You get one of Danny's, I'll get one of Retries, and vice versa.
You know what I think I'm going to do? I'm going to take this back to the 80s days, and I'm going to hang their knees from my mirror in my hoopty.
Nice.
Hoopty.
Going back to the 90s time.
Yes, listen, I'm old, folks. What can I say? Retry, let's hear your counter, brother. Because I love the fact that we're having this conversation. Why isn't Hellblade 2 releasing this fall?
Okay. All right. Let's go down my conspiracy theory. All right.
I was going to say, you sound less confident. I was about to say.
I am not confident at all on my.
I got it. I got the confidence. You want me to talk?
No. Let me just throw out my theory first. It's pretty quick. I was with Hellblade. I thought for a long time it was coming this November. I'm changing my mind, and I'm doing it. I don't know if I agree with like that those can be all close together, because Starfield is like 1,000-hour game. Even though it's September, I think that could take over for a long time. Age 4 is another game you put a lot of hours into. So those two games alone are major time sucks, in my opinion. But they might not be for everybody. So you're right. They're very, you got Age, you got Forza, you got Starfield, and
all different.
You guys
all
are right.
different experiences.
They are different experiences, but I'm the type of person who's going to play pretty much all of those. But I might be the 1%. But my thing is Phil just got done telling us about cadence. He just got done telling us about one big game every quarter. So tell me, guys, what's coming out next year? And that's kind of where I'm going with my conspiracy theory. So I believe Hellblade 2 is February of next year.
Strong.
And then you got Avowed next year, you have State of Decay next year, and then question mark for your fourth game, because they have to have their 4 bangers, as because we can't come up with a better word. There are 4 bangers next year, and I think Hellblade is part of that conversation for next year. Now, I don't, just because Hellblade's in the ad for Game Pass doesn't necessarily move the needle for me personally. I know all the other games that they showed were 2023, but I don't know. I'm gonna probably take an L on this one. But I'm thank you, Daniel. I'm gonna go with 2024, specifically February, just to be different. And on the cadence, I think the cadence thing might actually have some. Thank you.
He's right, and he should say
take it away. Take it away, Daniel.
Daniel, let's hear your altered reality opinion on this, because he's gonna do what he does, and that's why he's on a part of this. I mean, listen, he rewrote the DCEU, and some of his ideas are really, really good. Daniel,
they are.
Why
is it? Coming out with another one pretty soon.
I look forward to it. Like I said, folks, please sub to everyone. But if you like longer content, Daniel's definitely someone you should be subbing to, because I like he really does short content very well, but his long content is even more thought out. Daniel, why isn't Hellblade 2 gonna hit this fall?
Because there's no time. Ain't no time. We've already how many?
Ain't nobody gets time for that.
Richard, back me up for this. All right.
Yeah,
Richard, how many first party Xbox games are already announced for this year?
Quite a few, dude. Quite a few.
That like total for this year, we're at 8.
8, right? Yeah.
Okay,
8
including
total.
Forza and Starfield. Right?
Yeah, I'm including everything that's come out this year and everything that is going to be coming out this year. You're talking 8. Unheard of.
There's 8 games. Yes, Redfall was bad. And
right.
Who knows when Forza is going to hit? Hopefully sooner rather than later. Their problem has always been not releasing games in a good breakdown, right? Even in what was it, 2021, the really good year, they released 3 games back to back, right? It was Forza, I think, Psychonauts and Halo. The number one thing that Phil's always talking about is trying to learn from their mistakes. And that wasn't a good time for them. They should have spread those out more throughout the year. So if you're having 8 games already come out this year, and you've got this huge hit that is going to be, that's going to land, right? Why are you going to put that in 2023 instead of putting it at the beginning of 2024? Start that year off strong, and then you can take a little, even if it's ready to release today.
Yes,
right?
I 100%
you take it and you hold it until the start of 2024, and then you can take even that much more pressure off of any other games that are supposed to launch in 2024. Right? The name of the game here isn't just the game's done, put it out immediately. More game. No, it's building up that cadence, like you've all been saying, of putting out games at proper beats, right? And if you're releasing all of these games back to back, then what happens if you get to 2024 and you can't do that anymore? You put 4 games out in a row, 4 months in a row, and then you get to 2024 and it's right back to the same conversation. Where are the games? You put out Hellblade in February. You've got people shut up until at least March.
Bingo. Yeah. I
Right?
just want to add to Danny's point.
He said until at least to March, until the next month.
I know. I know what I said, and I said it on purpose.
Is there supposed to be quarters? That'll shut them up until at least next month. Then they'll be
shut them up. That'll shut them up for a minute, right?
We're also forgetting Game Pass this year, specifically on third parties, really strong. You got deals with like Exo Primal, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Lies of P, Age of Mythology,
Stalker 2.
Blaze Blue, Stalker 2, like there's Cocoon. It just keeps going. Like
even if that game's ready
Flintlock
right now, you hold it.
I agree. I 100% agree with what Daniel was saying. Like even if it's ready, hold it.
You hit him with the King David, hold the line. You keep working on that game. You polish it up for another 3, 4, 5 months, right? And you put it out beginning of 2024. In the best state that it can possibly be in. So it's not another Redfall. It's not a Cyberpunk. It's a game that is completely good and ready to go. And it launches February, and it kicks the year off to a great start. As honestly, depending on what PlayStation has announced for that year, contender for Game of the Year for sure. I don't know. I mean, we're going to find out hopefully by the end of this month what they have planned for 2024, because at the moment there's nothing. So they have to tell us at some point.
It's going to be something special on the 25th.
Yeah. So like that'll happen for sure. But yeah, you put it out beginning of 2024. I think your other big game of 2024 is Avowed, and then you have 2 other smaller ones in there. State of Decay is a possible shout. I think Contraband's a possible shout. Like there's a couple other ones in there that you can get.
Indiana Jones game.
Definitely
right. Indiana Jones.
Yeah, that's
right.
true.
I think Indiana Jones
I agree with you on Contraband. That makes sense for next year too.
Contraband, yep.
Although Contraband could also be this year. Remember, it's supposed to be released last year.
It could be. It won't be, but it could be.
Yeah,
it won't be.
But no, I agree with you there. But then there lies the rub. So again, we go back to what do you then release in December? You're not going to say that they're going
nothing.
Coastal.
November is your.
You just put out Forza and Starfield.
Forza November.
Remember, we don't know if Starfield is releasing this year. We don't know if that might need. No, we don't.
Yeah,
we don't know. We do not know if that game is going to launch this year. But let's say it does. They cannot coast off of. They cannot coast off Starfield launching in September for December. All the way to December?
No, because even Forza is November.
Even if Forza launches
November, October.
We don't know if it could be October.
It's normally October. Usually
so we don't know that.
Are you saying that there's a version of this universe where Microsoft goes 2 months without putting out a game? Unheard of. Wait, nobody look at 2022. Nobody look at
audacity.
It wasn't there. It didn't happen.
But this is another reason why I say that I believe it too. We just had the situation with Redfall. I would think they would be more gung-ho to say, let's get this game out there too, to kind of get that bad taste out of our mouth.
Or the exact opposite, to make sure it's fully polished.
It's true.
You know what I'm saying?
Could go either way.
You could take that You could take that either way, because I definitely see. I kind of agree with you on your first point. Like, man, like Redfall, a real stinker. We need at least one like awesome triple A or couple of triple A's this year to get the story out of everyone's out of their mouths and shit. So I kind of I agree with it, but there's the other side is like, we don't want to make that mistake again.
I agree.
And there's what I'm saying. So either one of those.
But then that is assuming that they're not on top of watching the quality. And remember, Hellblade 2 is under Xbox Game Studio, so Matt Booty is on top of that. I'm hoping he's watching that. He has his booty on duty. He has his booty on duty for Hellblade 2. So I expect that to be right. Plus, I trust Ninja Theory.
I definitely trust.
The thing I go back to is that they cannot just have December hit with nothing first party major title.
I agree.
And Age of Empires 4 it doesn't cut it.
I mean, you're still gonna be playing all the big games from. You're still gonna be playing Forza. You're still gonna be playing Starfield.
Nobody's still gonna be playing Forza like that. To sell that for December.
I mean, I won't be, but for
the holiday,
other people might be.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Listen, I know Forza is going to be great. There's no
boy, we got breaking news, guys. This was. We were supposed to cover this, and it just
2 more hours. Let's keep going.
It just got out of control. Jez Corden is reporting that Microsoft's CVP for Xbox hardware will be speaking at the ROG Alley launch event.
Oh, yeah.
That sounds like that. Well, I heard that they had a partnership. Now, that's not confirmed.
Is that the 12th? When is that? That event itself?
Let's see. Well, there's a story that he's put. Yeah, it's when is that? Okay, I just pulled up the story. May 11th.
Okay.
Yeah, so apparently pricing and everything is going to be announced. But again, I think this is where the partnership.
I mean, it makes all the sense in the world. I mean, it's running
does.
Windows natively. It's got Game Pass. It's going to be sitting, staring you in the face.
I sold my Steam Deck privately.
You got rid of it, huh?
I did.
He almost sold it to me,
because,
but I waited.
Because here's the thing.
That's okay.
I got it as like, it was a gift basically. Everborn had said, "Hey, listen, I bought 2, so this is the middle one." And he sold to me for $100 less. And I was like, yeah, this is great. I'm going to be a PC guy. And I tried doing things with it. And I was like, yep, this went over the mohawk. And, it's even
PC guy.
Where does get my PC badge?
I'm gonna be PCMR. And you know something? Boom is just not that smart. So I was like, this is over my head. I got it running. I downloaded, I bought off Steam Resident Evil 2 for like $7.99 or something like that, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna play this game. And I played like the first 10 minutes, and I put it back in its case, and it sat there ever since. So I was like, you know what? I all I want to do is Game Pass, and there was no way that you had to side load this to do this, and I went to Windows Central, and I tried to do it, and I'm like, yeah, this PC thing, not for Boom. I'm a plug and play kind of a guy, and that's what this.
Nothing wrong with that, man.
Same here.
That's what the Asus or the Asus ROG
the Asus ROG I call it the X Ally.
The X Ally. I'm definitely buying the best version of this. I think it's like 700. I think it's 699. But so that's the breaking news. But Daniel, please
hit that at
continue.
650. If they could hit that at 650 or whatever and slow it to 699, I think, man, 650 especially, that would be a real competitor for the Steam Deck.
I agree. So Daniel, let's continue your slander, if you will.
Look, the bottom line is it's not going to come out because it doesn't need to. Like, that's really what it comes down to.
That's kind of where
I know we're all hurting right now. We got the cope out. We're hurting because Redfall was real bad. But like, by the time we get to the end of the year, we're gonna have Forza, which is gonna be like a 90, as it always is. Starfield's gonna come out. It's gonna be like a high 80s. It's gonna be really good. We're all gonna love it, right? We're gonna be in a different mindset by that point. At the point of the year,
right. You're right.
If the game doesn't come out in December, then all that's gonna.
And H4 is gonna nail it too. H4, I guarantee. I'm gonna say right now, guarantee that game hits like what score wise, and it's gonna be good.
Not my game. Not for me.
Not for everybody.
Comes out. There's all this other stuff. Right. We're gonna be fine. Right, it's totally fine if Xbox doesn't put a game out in December. Most people don't, because it's only one of 12 months, right?
Right.
But it's the most wonderful time.
People don't even celebrate.
Sorry that I ruined that for you.
It's all right. I'll be collecting your knees. It'll make it happy.
Probably right. It's fine.
I just think, again, Daniel and Retri make some really, really great hard points.
We're here to get all the hate mail. You can send it to Daniel first.
You guys said without Hellblade, they will have put out 8 first-party games this year. Now, granted, 4 of them I will not play, but that's okay. That is the beauty of Game Pass. That's the beauty of having a plethora of games and genres. Not every game is going to hit for you per se, but still 8 first-party games in a year is unheard of.
Crazy.
It's phenomenal.
It's a lot.
But I guess maybe I've gotten the greedy bug from
nothing wrong with that
either. Studios and wants all IPs. I would like to see where they over deliver something like a Hellblade at the end of the year, and then they open up the 2024 campaign in potentially February or March with Avowed. You know what I'm saying? So you go from.
I mean, remember, Hi-Fi came out in January too.
It
so
did.
I mean, you never know.
Also, keep in mind, we don't know what they have in store for us this next month. They could have so many more like things. Third party week, for instance, they could have already secured that we do not know about.
That's true. So there is a theory that I really love.
Yeah,
there is a really awesome theory that Pong mentioned when I was on their podcast with PTK, and he was talking about Sarah Bond talking about Armored Core 6 from Software. So rumor is maybe, and I love this rumor, maybe it hits Game Pass, because that would be huge for me personally. I have no clue if anyone cares about this game.
I care about it.
That would be great.
I care about Armored Core.
People do, right?
We care.
So that would be awesome.
Yeah, I would love for the Armored Core to drop into there like that. I actually am excited for it. Actually,
that would be that. Listen, it's going to be a big game. It's going to be a big game. People have been waiting. It's Steel Rain, good friend of the program, and of course, one half of a Living System on Saturdays is like he's going to drop the world to play that game. He's looking forward to that. But listen. I mean, what a great show. Hopefully, we had almost 600 people here, which is always amazing that we get to those kind of numbers when we used to have like 12 people in the chat. It's crazy how the channel is growing, and we can't continue to grow unless you subscribe. So if you're finding the channel for the first time, and I saw a lot of new names, please consider subscribing. We're on the hunt for 13K. We are 12.2 right now. And of course, I want to get everyone outro perfectly here because obviously Retri is trying to grow Game Pass underscore daily, which he should. That's in a phenomenal place to get all your Xbox Game Pass news. And of course, Umbra and Danny McGee just launched the fix. So we're going to get to that in a second. But let me catch up on the super chats. And I did miss 2 earlier. Shout out to John Wolf, who brought it to my attention. Traybone408, who's been a good friend of the program, drops a $2 super chat and says, Doctor Strange or Doctor Faked by Q Break plus the Ghostwire Tokyo devs. Yes and yes. I love that. Sir X-Men drops a $2 super chat and says, Iron Man with the Anthem engine from EA. And I believe they are actually, in fact, working
That's the rumor.
on that, which is pretty dope. We also have here, let's see, Drawn TJ drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, I want a Matrix game done by the Coalition, and I mean full game, not a demo.
Yeah.
I kind of wonder if that was what they were working on and got canceled. I mean,
it could have been one of the 2 projects.
I mean, they did do
that's
that.
The part that bothers me is that we don't know what it was that they were doing.
Yeah, it's a shame.
It could have been something way out of the typical wheelhouse of Gears.
Do you think the Marcus Phoenix collection got pushed or it's gone, or do you think it's still real?
We didn't talk about it. Oh my God, there's so much to talk about.
Sorry.
And I know it's
I'm just wondering.
Retro. I love you for this. I think I'm going to talk about it on Friday. I or maybe even tomorrow evening. Phil specifically mentioned the games
collections,
and he said collections.
Yep.
So I get excited, folks, because I'll play an old game in Unreal Engine 5, meaning that maybe the rumor of the Marcus Phoenix collection being redone in UE5 is a thing.
That's
but then I start to go off, and this is where we get to speculation town and more like unicorns and rainbows for me. Could you imagine if the Fable they want to release it? I know a dev on the Fable team, and he basically said, "Boom, when you see this game, you're just not going to believe what you're seeing." So I have unbelievable faith in this. But they just put an ad out, "Hey, we need a producer." So they're still hiring for the games. I don't think the Fable's anytime soon. What if the Fable trilogy was redone?
Oh.
That's true too.
Yeah, I'm not that excited about the Gears one because I think Gears still holds up well now.
Oh no, it still
I
does.
think it does.
Fable, however,
it does too.
But Fable, if they
give me a Fable,
that,
I say the Fable trilogy is more important because you're introducing new gamers
reset.
to a series that is heralded one of the best trilogies on Xbox, at least in my opinion, to date. So that's my hot take on it. Let's see. We have Tom from Tanami. Tom, what's going on, brother? How you doing? He drops a $2 super chat and says, "The Coalition X Starship Troopers."
Oh, I love that answer.
Dope, dude. That is pretty freaking dope.
And I love that movie. I don't care. It's so good. It's such a fun movie.
The final 2 super chats. Dreadful Sean drops an additional $5 super chat and says, "Before Redfall dropped Broken, I was with the Hellblade being 2024. Now I feel Hellblade will be dropping in 2023 to make up for the Redfall releasing bad." I mean, that's a
fair enough
point. It's strong. It's strong. And Giggity 08.
It's such a small crowd.
Oh Lord.
It is what it is. Take kind of that.
I love it. Great minds think alike, ladies and gentlemen. Griggity 08 drops an additional very generous $5 super chat and says, "If the ABK deal goes through, do you think that it will change their release schedule?" Well, I'm going to say this. The fight for ABK is far from over. I'm not sure if you guys or anyone follows Florian Muller or
he really is really on the side of it's going through.
On Twitter, and of course Post Up is another one. Is just they make it so digestible. The head of the EU made a statement which again, it's speculation town. It's coming up on the 23rd, the decision of this month, that their decision for Activision Blizzard King is much different than the CMA, and she mentioned that. That basically says to me that they're going to pass it. And I don't know if there's going to be concessions, but the cloud thing, Microsoft has in their favor timing and law. And if, again, I don't want to delay
a little
the
bit of common sense.
Common sense. Amazon's Luna just launched into the UK, and 18 million users just got Fortnite for free. According to Jez Corden's numbers, 5,000 people use the cloud in the UK for Xbox.
God.
So no, think about that for a second. That comes the way of Jez Corden. I'm not making the numbers up. Go reach out to him and ask him. 5,000 people, 5K.
Might as well be zero.
It might as well be zero. Fundamentally, the CMA was wrong with their numbers originally. With PlayStation, they had to pull their decision and pull PlayStation off of the conversation. And I'm here to tell you, as someone who does not really have, I have no knowledge in regards to business law, I can tell you common sense law, and they're wrong again. So I think that some of the stuff that's been talked about in the business community about Xbox beating getting the nod from the EU, they're going to beat the FTC. Lena Khan's has no case whatsoever. And I think they're going to close. They're going to close with those two, and just make. They're going to do something do something different for the CMA. And I think the CMA is going to. Cat's going to approve the appeal, and I think it's going to get sent back. And I think there's going to be a lot of conversation. This is far from over, but this podcast is now over. And we went almost 2.5 hours. Guys, I said we are going to do 2 hours, and now I apologize for being a little bit longer. But everyone had such great points, and we had a great conversation. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button. But let's get to the outros. Daniel McGee, let's start with you, brother. Obviously, you are currently rewriting the DCEU. You do like what James Gunn is doing. I do like a lot of your ideas. Really strong opinions. I would like James Gunn to give you a call, and you can tell me that, Craig, I can't be on your show anymore because I work for DC, and I would be saddened, but I would be happy for you because you do have really good ideas, and I think that you'd fit in the James
Crazier things have happened. You never know.
I mean, it's true.
Legit.
It'd be literally insane, but it would. I would cry for a month.
Well, it would
never stop.
James Gunn he listens to a lot of podcasts. He actually a couple of times favored and retweeted some of the posts that I put out there, which I was
really
blown away that he would do that.
You got the hookup.
I wish.
I'll invite him on my birthday and see what happens.
Yeah, I wish James.
You got to put your link in that chain. You got to go find that chain, that thread, dude, and go throw your link in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you can steal all your ideas.
But Daniel, sell your brand, brother. Please tell everyone about the best place for both long and short content on your YouTube channel.
Yes.
Talk about The Fix, the show that you just launched about 3 or 4 weeks ago with, of course, the great one, Infinite Umbra. And where can people reach out to you on social media?
So in order, you can find me on Twitter at Daniel J. McGee, or on my personal YouTube channel of just Daniel McGee. That's Daniel, like how it's spelled everywhere, and then MCG. Like Boom said, I'm primarily rewriting the DCEU at this point, but I still take breaks to talk about whatever's going on in gaming. I'm recording a video tonight about how to save Halo. That's going to be contentious, and I can't wait. It's going to be a lot of fun. So good. You can also find me and Umbra, as he will, I'm sure, also tell you, on The Fix every Thursday night at 7 o'clock Central. We talk about all the biggest topics in primarily video games, but also film and anime and any other sort of pop culture type stuff that you are interested in. And we are so close to 1,000 subscribers that it would genuinely make the world a difference at this point if anyone who
absolutely
has not
would.
gone over there and subscribed would do so, because we are getting
Drop the links into the. I mean, we still
incredibly
have
close.
400.
Mhm.
Yeah, please
Yeah.
drop the links in there so people can head over and subscribe, please.
Last I saw, we were at like 930,
Oh
925.
man,
So
so
we are
close.
right up in there, right? We're going to be able to monetize real fast, and as soon as we're able to monetize, the show can start growing and becoming new things, and that's good for everybody. So
Yeah.
I'm excited for it.
Well, Daniel, we love having you part of the show, and we love the fact that we can help Mrs. Boom with the show as small as it is, because it's still a small show compared to so many others.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Anything
we're
that
on
we
episode
can
5
do,
this week.
anything that we can do to help promote not only your channel but your new show with Umbra is it's work that we're willing to take on. I think you guys do a great job interacting. Like I said, the chemistry between you and Umbra are phenomenal. And I love what you guys do each and every week. And speaking of Umbra, sell your brand, brother. Talk about the Fix, best place for everything pop culture. But of course, you bring it back to gaming more often to not. And quite frankly, the news gods have been very generous, and you guys are almost at 1K already. I kind of think you guys have something special. Talk about it, brother. Sell it.
Yeah, we got that special sauce. Pause.
And the best guess ever.
Absolutely.
Ever.
So
Ever in the history of guests.
we've already had Colt on the first show, which was such a weird show because it was, started off so odd. But yeah, I'll let you figure that out if you watch it. But we had Colt, we've had Kay Asante come through, we've had developers and lawyers, M&A lawyers come through with Deli
Nice.
and Luke Steele, and we got to get you on there sometime. Boom. But this week,
100%. Yes, absolutely.
we got the legendary duo of Web Dave and Retry joining us this week.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
So you all definitely come through. I posted the link already there. If you all could be so kind and to come and subscribe to us. No, you know what? Danny already said it that way. I'm going to do it meaner. If you all don't subscribe, you are a bunch of ponies and sellouts. That'll get you to come to my way.
That'll work.
Oh,
You
my
either
God.
subscribe,
Gotcha.
you either subscribe or you a bunch of ponies. What do you say to that? No, I'm joking.
No.
Yeah, Victor Click just subbed you guys. Thanks,
There
Vic.
you go.
Appreciate it,
Thank
brother.
you, Vic.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you.
No, but man, Boom, thank you so much, man, for having me again. I've said it before many times, brother, but you hold us up as in a community. You really do bring everybody up with you, and I appreciate that about you. And
I mean, it's all about growth for everyone. Listen, when we built this channel, Mrs. BoomStick and we built it on a dream. And she's not as involved. She doesn't play as many games as like I do. She plays like certain games, whatever. But when we were putting this channel together, the ideology was community first. And anyone that took the time to be a part of our show, which is very difficult to do, we were going to make it our business to have them grow with us. So again, it's in the DNA of Double Barrel Gaming, and like I said, I'm glad to have you a part of the show, but
Absolutely.
even happier to see the success. And hopefully it is because you're here and people are hearing your voice and like, I want to subscribe to these guys because they know where it's at. So
yes.
Right.
Oh, as far as Twitter, you all can find me Infinite Umbra or Umbra Infinite. You'll find me either way. And like Decado said in the chat, hold the line and subscribe.
Hold the line. King David, holding that line.
Yes.
I love it.
Let's see. Okay, so Retry, we got to sell your brand because
yes, sir.
There is a place for anything and everything when it comes to wearing your heart on your sleeve, talking about gaming, and having a love for gaming. No one does it better than Retry. Obviously, besides being on Web Dave's show on Sundays, he has his own YouTube channel, which of course is Game Pass _daily. And he does a lot of really fantastic work, both on Twitter, where you see him, doing these 1 or 2 minute videos where he's breaking it down. The production value is phenomenal. I ask if you trust me and you like what you hear on this show, you're definitely going to enjoy and appreciate the hard work that goes into Retry's channel. Sell your brand, brother. Talk about it. Where can people subscribe? And more importantly, reach out to you on social media.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys can follow me on Twitter at GamePass_daily. I put the link in the chat. And Game Pass Daily on the YouTubes. I do videos, short videos, like Boom said. I try to get right to the point, not do a lot of fluff, but it's all about Game Pass on those channels. And of course, you guys can join us every Sunday on the Gamers Council at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are also very close to 1,000 subscribers. We just got to get those watch hours up, and then we can start monetizing. But please join us this week. We have 108 Dragon Slow-Mo Backslap is going to be joining us.
Nice.
We will be getting Randall Thor back with us. He's been under the weather, but he will be joining us soon. And we got a long list of great guests to join in. And of course, kind of like the Fix with Umbra's and Daniel's show, we do a lot of pop culture stuff. It's not just video games. I love TV. I love TV shows. I'm getting into anime, all kinds of weird stuff I wasn't into before. And we just have a good time. You know what I mean? We're just here to talk with the community. And we'll even bring people in the community right on the show like we did last week. We had my buddy Jim on there, October Snowman. So we are willing to open up the floor to whoever wants to come on and talk about whatever they want to talk about for however long they want to talk about it. So yeah, join us, guys. We'd love to have you. Thanks for having me, Boom, as always. And chat tonight, or today, I should say. You killed it. So thank you, guys.
Yeah, this was a fun episode. This was we shot from the hip. We talked a lot about what was on our minds. We had a great conversation with the chat, which is the engagement aspect of the shows is super important to every one of us. We don't have a show without having you here. So big shout out to over nearly 600 people that tuned in for today's show. That is unbelievable. And of course, hopefully you will subscribe to everyone on this panel. And I make it super easy in the show notes. It's just 2 clicks. It's click their link and the subscribe button. But if you want to be generous, you not only click the link to get to their YouTube channel and their Twitter accounts, but you can also click the sub button, but also the bell icon, so that every time they drop new content, you are alerted to it when, of course, YouTube works, because they don't always work. But folks, thank you so much again for hanging out with us for over 2+ hours. A big thank you to all the super chats that have come in. Again, I say it all the time, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, but they really do help grow the channel in ways where it comes to buying equipment and keeping up to date with the programs, and of course, doing the big giveaways, which our big giveaway of the year is going to be when Stalker 2 is released. Mrs. BoomStick and I are purchasing 15 copies to give away at full price to make sure that we support the team that was horribly displaced during the Ukraine-Russian war that is still happening. And it's our small channel's way of making sure that that developer gets 70%, because we know that Microsoft does take 30. So we're buying 15 copies at full price to give away, your choice on PC or on Xbox. We're not giving away Xbox Game Pass for it. We're actually going to buy the games at full price, at full $70 plus tax, and we're going to give those away. But again, thank you so much for being here. And I'm going to close out the show with something, folks, that's important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught me when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. We'll see you next week on the newest episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast.